Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Nottingham Belong Arena. We are here, of course, for the NSE Spring Finals League of Legends edition. My name is Harry Dr. Evans, and you are, of course...
I'm Jack, Coach Fenton, and it's been so brilliant so far today. We've watched 2 esports already today, and we're coming on to our third. So
yeah, it's been a good start. We had Northampton winning the FIFA, and Loughborough winning out on the Rocket League. And of course, Loughborough are going to be playing here in the League of Legends, so they're looking to try and take home a second title. Loughborough up against the University of Manchester, a university that goes back in the esports in the sort of esports world, especially in League, having such a heavy involvement with King of the North and whatnot.
Of course, they're very much one of the homes of esports here in the UK. I mean, they've been running events, they've been winning events, and can they win one that they don't run today? So let's see how that one goes for them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I think the sort of view is coming into this one, it's a little bit favoured to Manchester, right?
Yeah, I feel so too.
I mean, they've been doing pretty well. I think I'm really excited to see this matchup because we have these very similar play styles between both teams. Like you've been saying to me, we've got Chad's top laners, Conqueror abusers, Aurelia. Everyone's playing for the top side of the map. And I think that just makes some really interesting to watch League of Legends.
Yeah, we've got a clash of styles here today. That's what I'm really excited for. I really want to see how it pans out. Often, if a team plays around top, you're going, okay, I'll play around bot, play around the other side of the map. Lots of parallel sort of mixing up the games recently, especially in the pro leagues, but that's not what we're going to see today. It might just be a complete fiesta in the top lane.
That's really what I want to see.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
When people play around bot, you end up with, it's like, okay, we're going to play for our ADC. Well, it's an ADC, so we need to give them at least one item, and then, we'll just 4-man dive or something.
Yeah.
And it's the same every time, but with top, because it's so volatile, because you have this opportunity for solo kills, you have so much room to work with, you can just get, let's 2v1 and 3v1, let's just 3v3 top lane.
Yeah, I'm interested to see whether even we see Cheese level 2 ganks even in the top lane.
I see why not.
A lot of top laners right now, super mobile champions, that rely on their ability to dive backlines, but don't have much escape of their own. So in that, especially at level 1, if someone's playing something like a Jarvan, which is an absolutely disgusting level 2 ganker, I wouldn't put that one off the play for sure.
But if both junglers playing Jarvan and Xin as some of their more favoured picks, 2 champions that are great at level 2 starts, which does mean we're going to have, I think, a slight favour for Manchester coming into this game. They have red side for the first game, so they will have that red buff level 2, so definitely expect to see some action with that coming out from the Kara.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen today. And then not only are they going to choose the red side here today for that side of the map, geographically, but also for the counter pick, which they will look to put probably towards Costa or potentially even towards Crown, not for the sake of just for a counter matchup, but just to guarantee that they have mid lane priority so they can get into that top lane and start the Fiesta game.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so important. The mid lane priority, you can help your jungler, again, if we're seeing early game junglers that want to play around the top side, that's going to make that crab so much more important as well. So there's so much pressure on getting that winning mid matchup so that you can get the winning top matchup. Oh,
for sure, yeah, definitely. I think it's just good, and like we said earlier, like level 2 junglers, if they're not top fighting out, we're going to see them meeting at the crab, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping we get to see some proper crab wars here today. Like, that's what we want to see.
I mean, I think we're really looking forward to the picks and bans as well. So the whole thing, like we said, we want this early game aggression, but we're also seeing there's a lot of picks that are favoured by both teams. Things like the Aurelia, for example, like I said, the Jarvan and Xin Zhao, both junglers playing.
Yep.
Aurelia played by both top laners. Also, flex picks within the team, because Mundo being played by Gecko, but also we see the top laner from Loughborough playing a lot of tanks.
Yeah,
so they might want to flex that between themselves. We have the University of Manchester jungle top both really liking to play Riven. So there's a lot of flex pick potential, as well as a lot of picks that you really want to try and swipe away from the enemy there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the really big things is the current patch that we're on. So we are playing on the live patch here today, so it's going to be exactly the same as, hopefully not the same as your solo queue games, but the stats should be. And what we're going to see is an orientation towards champions like Mundo that got buffed. Nautilus that's kind of snuck into the meta because it got buffed last patch, and then tank buffs came through this patch. So that's a little bit sneaky there. Maybe they picked up on the Nautilus becoming quite strong. Along with Cho'Gath basically becoming this knock-up, early aggression almost champion that might even be going into the jungle for one of these junglers if they want to pick a tank for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 seconds off of an ability. Doesn't sound like a lot, but for Cho'Gath, that ability is just 60% of his kit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're building him tank, or if you're playing him AP, it's a really important ability. Tank, you need it for the engage, you need to harass in lane. If you're building AP, it's part of your rotation, it's half of your damage. If you're playing him jungle, it's going to increase your clear speeds. On top of that, we saw the buffs to his Vorpal spikes quite a few patches ago. I think that was like 9.3, 9.4, something like that. That are really going to help out any jungle clears you want on Cho'Gath as well. And with these picks, you know, Cinderhulk getting buffed, I think there's a high chance that we see something like that Cho'Gath.
There's just so many things that he has in his kit that was already okay. Like sleeper, solo queue picks, cheese, you play it in the jungle, you stack up your feast for free, right?
Yeah.
But now it's actually gained itself some legitimacy in the fact that you can get it faster and more reliably, right? So I'm not too sure whether we will see it, but if we do, that'd be really exciting.
Well, we're talking a lot about tanks, but of course we are also seeing the Wit's End got reworked on this patch, and a lot of people say that might be the anti-tank item. Got made a lot more expensive, got a lot better stats, but also really helps in those 1v1s because it's going to be stealing health away from your opponents. Well, what do we know? Both these top laners are playing 1v1 champions, you know? They're playing things like the Aurelia, like the Jace, the Fiora, all champions that could have a decent time if they want to try that item out. So this is going to be, for me, my first competitive experience with this item in the game, and I'm really looking forward to see how it works out.
Yeah, I think what's really, really interesting is the fact that we have this live patch, and often you're like, okay, new patch, maybe 1 or 2 champions falls in priority, but they're still pickable, right?
Yeah.
That's the norm for competitive gameplay, but when you see it, something so big, we could be seeing a huge change in the draft phase for sure. And speaking of draft phase, we're going straight in.
Oh, so Aurelia just already taken right off the table. Both teams playing the Aurelia, we thought maybe it would be a first pick or something like that, high priority, but instead taken away off the blue side. And we're seeing a Mordekaiser ban. Do you want to take the wheel on that one?
Yeah, the Mordekaiser, that one, we saw this one coming. I was talking to Costa earlier, just before the game started, and he said, no, we're getting Mordekaiser off the board. Their jungler, Gecko8, plays a lot of this Mordekaiser. Absolutely loves the champ, and can flex it to the bot lane as well, so we want to get rid of any Fiestas here.
And I just love that these look like some really solo queue bands. You know, it's like Aurelia, Riven, Mordekaiser, get them out.
Yeah, I don't want this cheese.
They're actually like
they're very legitimate.
Really good ideas.
Yeah, the Riven band's really good too, right? There's 3 players on the Manchester roster that can play that champion. Crown, good at the champion. Nikera, really oriented towards that, plays that so much in solo queue, and same for Costa. It's Irelia and Riven are his big picks. They're both off the board, so we see what he goes for today.
Well, we're talking again about the early pressure early on, the early junglers. Jarvan taken off the board. Maybe we could see something like a Zinzao, like a Rek'Sai. We were definitely not going to see something like a Lucian, neither bot lane playing that, so instead we see the other half of that ever so popular lane, the Braum, coming out. And what we were saying is that both of these bot lanes, they like to play sort of very passive, you know. We've talked a lot about how we play around topside, and that means you have to ignore your bot lane. And I think whoever's going to get the more aggressive support really is going to win out there, because although you might not be able to win the 2v2, if you have someone like a Braum who can roam, especially with an early game jungler, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and it's just going to be good into anything that wants to poke you out, and it basically forces the enemy team into playing a more Fiesta style, which they're oriented towards. So you're basically saying, hey, so you can't poke me, you can't poke my team, you're going to have to fight my team. So it's really good for first pick, not just because it's a disgustingly good champion, but also because it just affects the whole enemy team's draft immediately just from the one pick.
Well, we've seen the Silas picked up here, who got a little bit gutted on this patch.
A little bit is an understatement.
Okay, 6 seconds level 1 off of the Absond Abduct cooldown, not great. But what I'm more interested about from Costa here is he's running TP Ignite, summoners that are often seen on a certain pony. And we were talking about this before going live, like, is he going to pick Hecarim? It's huge on this patch.
We've just got Nasus locked in today.
Alright. Okay, so Nasus actually got pretty good on his buff, but the only times I've seen Nasus in competitive is in the UKLC, where he's picked as a counter to Yorick. you go back to the old Quasus type build, where he would max the Spirit Fire. That's going to do really well versus Yorick and his ghouls. But blind picking the Nasus is not something I've seen in a while.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was coaching, we actually had Nasus picked into a Yorick, and it's just disgusting. There's very little you can do. But Nasus picked into Sylas. I guess they're basically saying you can't take that top, especially with the current numbers that Sylas is running. I mean, he got that 6-second nerf this patch, but he got 2 other abilities nerfed this patch, and the one that got left this patch was banned last patch. So he's really in a good place. It's a really interesting first rotation from them.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, just looking at this first half of the ban phase, I think it's looking a lot better for Loughborough right now. The Sylas first pick, or pretty much first pick, isn't great. He's in a very rough spot right now. They know that he has to go top or mid, and so they've picked accordingly with this Nasus with Zai. Of course, the Nasus could technically go jungle, but I think it's a little bit interesting to pick Nasus jungle when you know your versus is in Zai.
Yep. Very, very true. Because this guy's, we were talking about early aggression, right? And he's just completely opted out. Yeah. He's just baited here against alpha junglers, and we're going to see whether that works out. Because sometimes that really is the best strategy. Sometimes if you can't beat them, just try and neutralize them, right? But we'll see if they can successfully do that today.
Oh. We've got to think about what we're about to see for the rest of this. We're now seeing ADCs being banned out across the board. Top laners are still available. I'm definitely expecting to see Ezreal picked up here by Loughborough.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good pick. I mean, you really do not want to play against Rakan, Sylas, Shin with no ability to escape, right? What they could still do, even though it's not in his solo queue champions, he could be scrimming with the Lucian, so we don't...
True.
That has a dash, really good with Braum. Would be a nice early lane for the Nasus to kind of pad himself with, because you wouldn't need to worry about his bot lane losing, right? That's so reliable. You have to really int that lane if you lose that, so that could be a good option here for them.
Yeah, I think it's very strong. It's really strong with the Braum. Getting that winning bot lane, although it's not what they play around, again, that is a bit of a curveball, it's not their style, so it's something that Manchester might not be prepared for. But also, if you have the Ezreal, as opposed to the Lucian, Braum can do whatever he wants, or you can have a really strong lane. It's so hard to play versus Ezreal Braum, because Ezreal can sit miles away, Braum walks up to you, does whatever he wants, and then he can just jump back to the Ezreal. It's really rough, and especially it's the Sivir Rakan. Really hard engage, and terrible lane.
Yeah, really poor lane. But if they get you shoved under your tower, which obviously Sivir does,
they will.
There's Rakan and Xin Zhao and Sylas, who often can take TP in the lane, just appearing in your lane, stealing ults, and you're in a really bad spot there. And Nasus isn't someone that's going to be able to protect you from a bot lane dive early game.
It's really not, but we're talking about dives, and Jinx is one of the most diveable champions, but I actually think it's pretty decent here.
Yeah, I like the
Jinx
pick.
Braum is a really nice lane as well. If you get dove, as long as the Braum can block the initial brunt and throw down the fissure, then you can put the traps, you can start to set things up. You get 1 kill or 1 assist. One person misplays and dies to the turret, and Jinx is fine, she's going to pop off, she will clean up that dive. She'll turn it around for her team.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I really like that. Ornn's something we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I really like the Ornn pick here. So in the LCK, they've been picking Ornn a lot. It's been a really high priority pick, but it's there. Okay, your top laner is a Chad. He's an aggressive player, and I'm going to play Ornn because it means I won't go behind on CS. I can go even, very safe, and a really good laning stage, and then I can convert that into the mid-game ease of access, ease of engage team comp, where you can just throw in your picks and just try and take them out as fast as possible. So it's a really, really nice pick. That kind of said, okay, you're looking for a counter with this final red pick, but we're going to pick Ornn, which has very few out-and-out counters. I like that.
But the Camille into a tank matchup, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, always good.
She has the option of running something like Klepto if she really wants to, just to snowball as hard as possible.
Yeah, it could abuse.
But she is... You can still go PTA for the all-in. Ornn now losing his shield, and he lost his shield. Riot gave back to him in the form of base stats. However, he didn't have the he doesn't have the shield anymore. And with Camille dealing true damage, it's the base stats you have don't really matter. But we have just been informed that there is no Nasus jungle,
despite our analysis.
Yeah.
But we are going to see something a lot spicier.
A lot spicier. Just to take a brief second to flame, though.
Yep.
These computers are unlocked. They have League unlocked. We didn't need to do a proxy pick.
Yep. So Come on, dudes.
Come on,
Why
man.
did you troll us with the Nasus?
Should we just not set? Should we just wait for it to be
Yeah,
picked? Like,
yeah,
we're just going to sit back and relax. You're going to see something interesting in a second.
We will let you guess that. And it's something that I've been doing a little bit of research on myself. I knew it was in his champion pool. Actually, is infamous for this pick, and he's been playing it for almost his entire NoL career, which is almost 3 years now. The jungle has been putting in a shift back in the days where they played with a very different roster. And had a lot of success as well. They were one of the North's best teams. So Loughborough putting a shift in the league scene here, and it's been through one of these picks which people get scared of. And actually, with my discussion with Costa earlier, he said, "We don't care. I've not seen it before," is his quote. But I don't care.
I mean, I've not seen it either.
And I think if you haven't seen it before, you should still be scared, because it can be really, really scary, and we're probably going to see it locked in immediately right now.
And it definitely had some buffs very recently.
Yeah.
There it is.
And there it is. The Tahm Kench jungle. And it is jungle. There's no need to rotate here. That's definitely going in the jungle.
That's an interesting one, to be sure. So you got the Cinderhawk buffs, of course.
Yep. And tank buffs. Really, really nice.
Tank buffs across the board. Very happy about this. The one issue that I personally have with Kench jungle, he has a really decent clear when he has the Devour, because it does % health damage on those monsters. You cannot use it on blue and red. Or the epic
so
monsters for that matter.
His first clear, even though you have a leash, is still
so
really poor. So he struggles to get that tempo. He can actually do a whole side bot lane start on the blue side of the map, where he gets a hard leash onto raptors, then he eats big raptor and spits it onto the other one. He clears them really fast, which means he starts with the talisman. Also means he doesn't have as much brawling damage. So we might see a hard bot side start where he clears his bot side, recalls, and does his blue side of the map, which would be really, really interesting, because as we said, they have no experience playing against this Tahm Kench. So will they know to counter blue? Will they know to maybe early invade him and try and predict this pathing when they don't have the knowledge of that?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting pick. It's very niche. Like you said, knowledge plays a huge part into it. Of course, we were also talking about Scuttle Crab control.
Yeah.
Pretty safe to say that Kench has I'd say the third best crab control.
The third? Behind who?
Nunu can kill
crab.
Yeah,
instantly.
You snowball into it, smite consume whilst it's still in the air.
Yeah.
Pops.
Yeah.
Ivan, that's cheating. But Tahm Kench, someone's doing crab, you just waddle on it. It's like, hey dude, don't mind me. Take that one. Eat it to your chickens, and you leash with it. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. And even if your chickens aren't there, but your mid lane is rotating, here, yup, have this. And Ari will be getting that mid lane priority. He can yeet the crab into the mid lane, and Ari can charm it.
It's brilliant.
Like, good. That's going to be disgusting. If he just pumps that money into Nyx, he's going to get himself an early lead over this weak state of Sylas, and that could be really influential as well.
Sure, I'm really looking forward to see how this
I'm so excited
plays out as well, because Sylas gutted on this patch.
Absolutely destroyed.
He's been getting non-stop nerfed, and now he's lost a lot of his mobility. Mobility, very important versus the Ahri. Of course, she's so skill shot reliant.
Yep.
Now that he has that extra 6-second window to punish, that's going to be huge. And you have to wonder, is he going to adapt? Are you going to start maxing the Abson second or third or something, or first even, something like that? Because basically before, at one point, just too broken. You've got 2 procs of your passive, 2 dashes.
Yep.
It's too much.
Yeah, you could just go into any fight.
Oh, yeah.
You really did not have to think,
can I win?
Yeah.
The answer is just yes. Alright, so it's definitely a spicy one there, but I'm really liking this Loughborough comp.
Yep, for sure.
I mean, we have to point out, Sivir Khan, huge hard engage capability, especially at level 6. That's a death ball right there. Sylas is going to have a great time with that. Xin Zhao and Camille can follow up on it really easily, or they can even initiate it themselves if they want
classic.
to. But that seems a lot more sort of one-dimensional to me, whereas you look over at Loughborough and it's things like, okay, Ornn, Ahri, Jinx. Jinx is kind of top tier, but these are sort of like lower champions. Tahm Kench, the list doesn't even know his name, right? He's nowhere near a tier list, which is great, because it's unknown element.
What I'm really surprised by is the way that the drafts have come out today. So
you okay there, bud?
Yeah, apologies.
I chose the wrong time to do that if you were dying, but
warm in here today, so we really need that water. But yeah, very, very Korean drafts.
Oh yeah.
We've seen Tahm Kench in LCK picked by LS's Barbecue Olive. Yeah, LS's Barbecue Olive. So Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think they won with it, right? Yeah,
they picked up one game and they lost one game. So
it sounds kind of troll, but like I said, also not to be underestimated. We're talking about these mid lane top lane, the sort of mid lane top lane jungle rotations. Just go dive it. That's easy. You walk up, it's like, oh, I'm getting crab. You see your top lane's fighting. It's like, hey, get over here. You know, you just bring your mid lane. Suddenly it's 3v1. There's not a lot they can do about that. Top of that, you know, he's got all this chain CC ability. I'm really interested to see what rune he's going to take because I've been trying to say basically since runes came out, pick Tahm Kench top and take Phase Rush. Okay, actually it was the patch after runes came out because it got buffed. And I know Aftershock, objectively better. If you're playing top lane, Grasp, objectively better. But for comedic value, you go Phase Rush.
The ability to just zoom them.
Because it has the slow reduction. And that counts on self-slows. So you slap them 3 times, or you slap them once, tongue them, slap them again, you proc the Phase Rush, eat them, you don't get slowed, and then you just run them to your tower. It is just useless in 90% of situations. But when it works, it is just absolutely...
When it works, it really works.
So funny.
I think he's going to orient towards the Unsealed Spellbook today, so that he can swap that out and just really cheese. And we have a pushing bot lane, right? If Sivir's able to get that push, the thing is with Tahm is he just ults behind your bot lane. Ahri can fake a recall, walk into the jungle, and then jump into the Tahm and appear behind the Sivir. Especially if there's a brawl going on at the time and there's no spell shield, I really don't know how she counterplays that.
It's an interesting predicament you'll find yourself in. I mean, you do have the benefit of having the Rakan because the location is so telegraphed when it comes to the Tahm Kench.
Yes, very true.
You're going to be able to send in the knock-up, send in the charm. Really going to be able to chain the CC onto whoever comes out of that. But you don't know who's coming out. You know Kench's, so it's like, okay, it's one tank is coming. He's probably going to bring Ahri, and then Ornn comes out, and you're like, right.
Opens up Ornn, and then and what do you do about that? The Ornn horn's been sounded, and he's behind you.
And that's just a bit of great drafting as well, coming out from Loughborough, because they first picked the Braum, you know? Yasuo is an option, but
for sure.
Not that really been played by Manchester.
Yeah, for sure.
It's played by Loughborough, but not by Manchester. So you first pick the Braum. It's going to get you a really nice lane, very hard to lose lane, and then you know Ornn totally available. Of course, the Braum wall blocking the Ornn horn is incredibly detrimental. So if you have that, you're denying it away from the enemy, you're going to have a good time. You've also got the Kench, right? These are two champions.
I just feel like he's a cherry on top here.
I was
ready to flame this today. I was like, okay, he's going to pick Tahm. I'm going to say, it looked really surprising, but actually quite good in the LCK. But we're talking about the best league in the world here, right?
Yeah.
We're at NSE, which is a very great league, especially for university talent. But they're going to pull off a Tahm Kench, but it looks like it. They've got the providers for it. He's not just, I'm picking Tahm because I'm a Tahm OTP. He's like, I'm picking Tahm because it's legitimately the best in this draft.
Good idea.
It counters the style, and it says, okay, you want to play around your top. We normally play around our top, but we're going to adapt our style here because that suits the matchup. And I think that's really mature from Loughborough, and it could be a surefire way to get them towards their second win of the day just here today in NSE.
It is mature, sure. And it's a good idea. It's like, okay, we'll play to our opponent's weaknesses, but they are playing against their own strengths. You know, like I said, we were talking about before the game started, before coming into this, we wanted the 2v2 top lane. This is something that Loughborough have almost entirely opted out of. You know,
we're picking Ornn, one of the safest top laners in the game. We're not just gonna beta out this top lane and give you farm, because Ornn can actually brawl in the early levels. But that's just a really clever pick from them.
So it's a strong pick. It's decent, I think, into Camille because he has the hybrid sort of damage. You know, some of his spells are dishing out AD, but then I think the clap is AD, but then some of it's
I
AP.
Love the clap.
It's so sad, especially if he gets a kill, just boom right onto someone.
I'm hoping we see a clap. So look out for that one, Twitch chat. If you see that one there today, let's get some claps in the chat.
Easy clap.
Easy clap.
It could be dangerous to try something like this, but it's not like they've never played tanks before in the top lane, you know.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Definitely within their wheelhouse. It's just not their specialty. So if you ask me, it's almost slightly disrespectful because it's not their specialty. They're like, we don't even need to play our best strats to beat you.
Really good point. I like that a lot. There could be like, okay, we've adapted our style, but we're happy to be out of our comfort zone because we're still better than you.
Sure. And just take a second, we'll go over the runes real quick. The only thing that really points out the main note to me is that we've got Fleet Footwork coming out from Jinx. No lethal tempo there.
Yeah.
And Fleet Footwork is going to give you a better time in lane. But this lane is already... Sure, you're playing under tower. You're going to take a lot of little bits of chip damage from the Scyther here and there. So sustain is a good idea. But...
yeah,
you've got Tahm Kench Ornn. You need your damage somewhere, and lethal tempo is a really good source of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not something that Tsunami has.
Yeah, and R is really not a DPSer either. She is burst champion, she plays on rotations. But I feel like if you're playing on Fleet Footwork, where she's also, it kind of gives your ADC a more rotation playstyle, right? Because they have to play around the movement speed, come in and out of the fights using that rune. That means that there's going to be big gaps in their team fighting where they actually have very little DPS. And it's just going to be Tahm trying to lick them to death. And that's just not going to be sufficient against a team that can just constantly re-engage onto you with Sivir, whatever the Sylas wants to steal, probably Brawl Molt or something like that in a team fight. And Rakan just keeps going at you, same as Camille. I mean, they're going to really struggle in those periods if Manchester can correctly play around those windows within the team fight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's so important that they play these fights properly, because what you need to do is you need to get your early picks, right? So you've got to do things like just use the Tahm Kench early on, just sort of try and catch people. Not early on, as in like really, out early on, but you know, as you sort of ease into the mid game, you know, you've got Kench and Ari, which I think are a pretty good duo at trying to find like one person who's caught out of position. If you can abuse that, you're going to get yourself to a stage where your Jinx is able to carry the fights. But one thing we haven't spoken about at all, and you just brought up, is the Sylas. Right? Yeah, the Sylas ults. What's he going to steal? What's the best?
I was talking about the disgusting ability of Tahm Kench just to appear behind your backline.
It's not just Tahm Kench, you can do it.
I just realised the ability that Sylas will have if he walks into the jungle, knowing where the Tahm Kench is, just gives him a quick ult yeet, walks back to his lane, and now... that changes everything. It's like playing against a Twist of Fate for a short period of time, because at any point...
It's not even that short. It's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that. Yeah, it's a big window.
He can sit on the Tahm Kench ult and walk out of vision, and the mid lane is going to have to be like, you have to back off. So on the rare occasion that Jinx or Ornn get the priority in their lanes, they're going to have to just immediately give it up. Crown... getting crafty and stealing that ult will be really, really big this game.
So it's going to be very important. Make sure that once you hit that level 6, you have wards on chickens and top pixel. You need those two. Then you're not basically, but you're going to have a really good read on where the Kench is. And it is a genuine possibility that between waves, as long as you've got your jungler relatively close, that you're not going to get 1v2'd. If you're Crown, you just walk into the chickens, take his ult, and leave. It's just a quick drive by.
That is the classic.
And you're good.
And as two players that have both been playing the Sylas jungle, that is what you just do at Sylas jungle. You're like, oh, I'm taking my crab, but I really like my enemy top laner's ult, so I'm just going to take this and I'm going to go back to my clear.
Sure.
And if Crown is intuitive enough to go, okay, I've got lane priority here, but I really want Tahm Kench ult, or I really want Ornn ult, because we've got an Infernal Dragon coming up or something like that, right? He just wanders up, takes that, goes back to his lane, and now he sits on it before a dragon or a big objective spawns, and that's huge because he's already equipped before the fight.
Well, if we're talking about Ornn ults, of course there's a lot of pressure on Cassidy to be aware, and not just Cassidy actually, it's a whole team effort. You have to communicate, okay, he's got the Ornn ult, how long for? Oh, it's about halfway done, okay, where is he? He's taken 2 steps out of mid lane? Don't use your shield for absolutely anything at all, whatever brought me. You have to be able to save that.
And that's the thing with Sylas. Even though he's been gutted, he's still a powerful pick, even when he's weak. In competitive, not necessarily solo queue. I would not recommend playing that in your solo queue games right now. But because of this, it's like, what ult has he got? If he's got away with stealing something without being known, like, that is so horrible if you've not communicated that with your team. So
it's that one slip up can cost you so much. And think about it, you know where he is. You see him on a ward, for example. You're like, okay, Sylas is coming into mid. Bam, 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 he Ari ults onto you. You didn't look at him. You didn't have it communicated that he had the Ari ult. You only knew that he was in the area. If you're not ready for that, that one slip up can be incredibly expensive.
Be horrible. And here we go, we're going to get ourselves into the game. And I'm really interested to see what level 1s we get. I said about the level 1, for Manchester, they need to know where Tahm is, because he has so many disgustingly greedy paths that he can take. And greedy paths are punishable.
Right,
but it will get scouted out here.
Yeah, okay, they're going to be spotted out. Now, what I really want to see from Pure Kitchen here is you've just spotted, for the most part, 5 people walking into it. I'm not sure exactly how many people got seen, but if you see the team show up on one side of the map, definitely go and try capitalize on the other. Just get a little bit of vision down. Right now they're defending their pixel bush, but you know, try and get something aggressive. You want to track him.
That ward for Manchester would have been enormous. Just dropping that on the red and knowing what the Tarm's path was, right?
Sure.
Because Tarm showed himself topside, so you intuitively think that's what he's going to do. But not only did they show Tarm topside, they also showed Jhin topside. It was Jhin who spotted them out, right? And that's really interesting because we're talking about the top lane cheese. And a top lane cheese in this game could be massive if we see that Costa gets that assistance, because that could really sway a lane that I otherwise said would be safe.
Okay, important to note, Costa yet to skill and ability. Now you might think, you know, something like the Q could be pretty useful when it comes to helping that lane out, or if you want it for W, well, you would have taken Comet. So I'm thinking, what are the odds that he takes hook shot level 1
and goes for the
level 2 gang? He still hasn't skilled anything.
No, he hasn't taken anything, and he's gonna
go... Oh, he's skilled the W.
Yeah, he's skilled the W. But if there's still the option that we get a level 2 gank, a late one, because the Jhin is going for the greedy top lane clear, which is his chosen... during some VOD reviews of the Manchester game, every time he plays Jhin, he does the same path, where he goes from his red to his Krugs, and then he goes through and tries to take the blue buff. And last time he did that, he got collapsed on.
Well, that seems to be something that Gecko is aware of. Gecko going ahead and picking up that bot crab.
Oh, and they got the level 2.
Just a great chunk there. But Gecko's getting the bot crab, but he was spotted out by a ward, so Lycara are probably going to move on in, try and take away that blue buff. Gecko taking a really long time to clear that, actually.
But
there it is.
It wasn't just the Loughborough jungler who got spotted on a ward there. So did Gecko.
True.
No, so did Nykoras there. So they're both going to just start parallel jungling, which honestly really favours Manchester.
Oh yeah. Like, you have this, like I said, they want to talk about, they want to play around the top side of the map. You've got Camille, pretty good at going in champion, pretty good at diving as well, because you can use your hook shot to get out. I'm not saying we're going to see a level 3 dive, but it's not impossible, to be perfectly honest.
No, definitely not.
You definitely want your strong side to be top if you're Manchester.
Yeah, but at the same time, you do want the Time Kench to be bot. Parallel jungling is really nice in this game, because of how we said they have very different win conditions, one being top, one being bot lane. But the issue with what Loughborough are doing here, by getting this bot lane jungling, is actually that you don't actually get bot priority as reliably as the Camille will. So they can collapse on your jungler, especially if the Sylas shoves out, who does win in the early levels against Ahri. So
we're seeing right now that the Loughborough bot is pushing up, but you have to think about in the future, you know, once as a little bit of AD comes into Violin, he's definitely going to have that push priority.
Yep, for sure.
We think the vertical jungling isn't just occurring now, it's going to occur as the game goes on. You think about the times that the camps are spawning, you're going to have those your opponent isn't, you can be there first.
Yep.
So this is not the last we're going to be seeing over Nykoras and Gecko in the wrong sides of the jungle. And that's always going to be good for Costa, but it might not always be great for the bottom lane of Loughborough.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree with that one. The big thing for me is also the fact that Rakan is really good at collapsing. He can dash over with his W, hit you while you're still on a camp, and then he can assist really well to whoever comes in ganks. Sometimes you try and collapse as a champion that doesn't necessarily interact with other champions so well. For example, if you're collapsing with something like a Brand, there's a lot of damage there, but you can't help your mid laner. But Rakan is good with anybody, providing they're in E range.
Yeah, I mean, the Sylas, he's so mobile, if he wants to walk in, he can dash over a wall, sling onto someone, and then that can deliver in the Rakan from miles away.
Yeah,
now we're seeing the first impact on the map coming out from Sylas. From Tam Kench. It's not a lot, it's a blue smite, but that is not the power of this champion.
No, that's just a little teaser as he comes down and tries to make sure that there's no cheese being planned from the Xin Zhao, who is on the other side of the map, and they should be able to work that one out for themselves.
Well, a little bit of good fortune for the Xin Zhao. Obviously, the top crab being the one that spawns here, so he's going to get a nice XP lead. Just entirely uncontestable from Gecko. Not just because Gecko is on the wrong half of the map, but you do not win that 2v2, and you don't have mid-prio with this Sylas versus Ahri matchup.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that as Ahri comes into level 6, if after Crown's stolen it and has the big double cooldown, Ahri will start to get a lead in that lane. So we're looking in about maybe a 2 minutes time where Ari can really start to fight back. And Tom's just going to have to walk up just to save Ari from such a rough matchup, but Jin's going to do the same.
Waddling up, but if that charm had hit, I think he would have just come on into the tower range. Then you get the slow out. Obviously, the Absol not going to be available.
And you just start hitting them with the licks until you can eat him. And
there's no way Crown tries this.
Oh, and he's going for it! This is absolutely disgusting! He does get the first blood, but he really shouldn't have done. He goes down, and we're going to see Tahm Kench brawling with the Jin Zhao here.
He has the Devour.
Getting really, really low. The Devour's him. He's going to spit him under the tower. The flash flashes away! And Nakira wins it with the Triumph proc. He would not have died anyway, but he's going to have to kill himself because Orna's rotated down. And we just see a 1-for-1 and a 1-for-1. No assists shared, no bonus gold, but that's just all it's going to be. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I saw Crown looking, right? He had 6. It's like, okay, Ari doesn't have 6. They've both got... He's got Ignite up, but she has the... It's like, he's not going to try this. And then he just, flash W's on. Absolutely crazy, but he does secure the kill. And even though it is a 2-for-2 and 2 1-for-1s with no assists, it is ever so slightly beneficial to University of Manchester because they do pick up the first blood gold there.
They get the first blood, but they also force Ornn down, and that makes his CS lead even lower.
Oh, good God.
Yep.
Alright,
that's quite a bit. He's already
down.
doubled it, and it's going to be... Costa's going to be looking for the Flame Horizon here today, and we'll see if he gets it.
You know what, in this matchup, probably will, but... actually, very good timing on that dive, I think, for Crown.
Oh, but we're gonna see the Tahm Kench arrive, and he's sounding the Ornn horn. Oh, and he misses the bounce! Oh, even if there was a potential to collapse there, that is all gone.
That is just gone in a second.
That's a cooldown for absolutely for free there for Costa. Just Hawk shots out, doesn't even take a tower shot, but it's a really good time for him to recall anyway, so he's going to take that one.
No, Costa is A-okay with that one, but we're going to start seeing just more of an advantage here in the mid lane. Because you said that once Ari starts to get her lead, starts to get some items in, it's going to go well. But because of the timing of that dive, she couldn't afford the full Lost Chapter. She had to just pick up the blasting one for Elune. She's going to be pretty rough for mana right now, especially you see compared to the Ocean Dragon that has just been secured with Crown. Of course, we saw that one being soloed out there by Nakira. Look at this, Crown's just so able to do what he wants right now.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. This champion has been nerfed 2 patches in a row, and he's here just abusing Ari in the lane here.
Also, the nerf to Dark Seal means you can't, or you can stack it, but it's a little bit riskier. One important thing to note about the Dark Seal, though, is that whilst its cost, or its sellback cost got lowered, Mejai's didn't. And Mejai's is about 300 gold risk. You know, if you already buy the Dark Seal, which you do, you can buy Mejai, sell it back for 300 gold. That's 1 kill. So if you buy the Mejai's, just like even when you're on just like 1 or 2 stacks, it's still kind of worth a shot.
It's more worth it than building the ring and selling the ring now. So if you're in a point where you get a couple stacks and it gives you a mini power spike, that measures is really worth it. But one thing that is really, really understated is
the psychological advantage.
That not only are you saying I'm a Chad, but you
Chad
get the movement speed from Mejai.
Yeah,
which a lot of people really, if you get 10 stacks, the movement speed is really, really big. And we talked about how important it is for Sylas to rotate. So if he does go for the Mejai and does get himself a couple of stacks, he's going to be really scary because he can get there first. And he's willing to get there first and kill himself and lose his stacks because he can just engage so much faster. And that's definitely worth that 300 gold that you paid.
Oh yeah, and it's... the movement speed aspect as well also has that sort of benefit that it helps it help itself, you know, because your move speed means you roam more, which means you get more assists, which means you get more stacks. And it works out really well in that regard. We should point out that the vertical jungling got pretty much dissolved after the first clear, after some light shenanigans causing no jungler to be alive whilst all the camps spawned. Not really sure how that one happened, but so
we saw almost a complete reset of the jungle where all the camps respawned and they were coming back out their base again, just like it was level 1 all over.
But there has been some really good wave manipulation down here from Manchester. We saw they were under a tower, now that Gecko's moving up, and I don't think that they spotted him before, although they will spot him out now as Costa moves in. Now that they have this really good read of his location, they feel a lot more comfortable to go and do this hard shove in with the Sivir and look at the plates they're starting to get now, as we do see a 2v2.
Oh, and this is not a good 2v2 here for Loughborough. He's going to get ulted here and just roots him down. Nothing more. He sounds the Ornhorn again, but to absolutely no avail. That's really a freebie.
The heal not used by Gecko, and he didn't use the Grey Health Shield either. Played it really greedy with that one. I think he did have a very small window where he could have used it.
Yeah, for sure. The CC was not perfectly chained. Especially while Costa was in the air, he definitely could have procced that.
Oh, yeah.
And it would have saved him from that really big, really big hit that Costa would have slammed down him right after the X-Tech ultimatum.
It's one of those things. It's hard to get right, but you cannot afford to greed it. You know, because every time, if you use it and then they disengage, I mean, they weren't going to disengage in that situation, but if they do, you feel really bad. You see a bit of action in the mid lane.
A lot of action. The Ari's going to go really low. The Rakan's going to miss the W here, and then the Tarn's going to chase him down. If he can get a lick here, he's definitely going to devour him. The heal comes through, gets the stun and the devour. That's a freebie. I don't even think he needed to use devour there. He could have saved it for later on in the fight. If he needs to eat one of these, is going to be really detrimental. They get themselves a freebie off the back of Nikera's over-aggression, and Pure Kitchen trying to justify that. Off the back of that as well, we had the Jinx rocket just sidestepped by Nikera, and that was really close. That could have been massive, an early kill there onto the Jinx.
That would have been really good for the Jinx to pick up, because right now just that little bit behind in CS and a little bit of a difference on the buy timings does mean the Violin picks up the item. But
we're going to see another fight. The Devour here should be for free.
That'll be fine.
Takes him away right after he used the dash as well, so he has nothing to get away onto. The Q's going to come through and gets him for free again. Crown here, there's too much happening in the mid lane for him, and we said that this is going to struggle at this point in the game, exactly, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
And that's what I said. You take the Ari, you take the Tamkench, you move around, you just try and catch out people that aren't respecting you. The Tamkench damage that he does with that Devour proc is huge. He has the % health damage with the on-hit of his Q and his auto attacks. The stun, the CC, it's so easy to chain. It's easy peasy once you hit this point, so it's really good to see that Loughborough are playing exactly to their strengths. You know, they may have a top laner that's down 50 CS, but the rest of the areas they need to be doing well in right now, they're doing fine. What they now need to do is start to translate this lead a little bit more down towards the bottom
for sure. They need to start giving it to the Jinx. They need to start making this more of a juggernaut comp. And, he's going to use the Ornhorn just to clear the wave out here, but the Rift Hell's still going to get that charge off. That should be 2 free stacks there to 160 gold each. Very greedy here from Costa. He gets really low. He does have the ult, so he's able to dodge, but he still gets knocked up. So many turret shots. The flash comes out from Ornn, which I really think puts him in a bad position. Tamkench is arriving here through the bot side. And
Silas is moving up.
Silas is going to rotate. There's 3 of them here, and they are going to get out safely, but it does cost them Costa's flash.
Okay, that was a string of both underrated, but also simultaneously terrible plays, right? I think if you're Moss Mashing, you give that. It's like, okay, you cannot walk up and fight that. He tries to. The Ornhorn to clear the wave is a good idea, but then he gets really greedy trying to hit the eye.
Yep.
And then suddenly Costa goes in, starts full diving, you go, oh, maybe he can get this. But a really well-placed dodge from Costa. He doesn't dodge the knock-up, but he doesn't dodge the back end, but he dodges the first half of it, which is enough to drop the tower aggro, so that when he comes back down, he doesn't instantly die. The issue is he then throws out and also picks up the tower aggro, has to flash out again. But if he hadn't done that also, that would have been really well played, because you can reinitiate the dive.
The issue there is, as someone who bases all of their coaching, all of their kind of lifestyle on the back of communication, there was 0 communication. Nikera had no idea that they were diving, was late in, didn't get aggro, and wasn't able to juggle it. We're going to go straight into a fight here. Braum drops the shield and is in a really bad position. He's sandwiched in along with Jinx, just going to get caught out for free. Braum, as I said, in a bad spot. Costa wants to take him too, but they don't get that. They're going to have to give up this dragon. Or are they? Ari wants some more, and goes down to 1 HP as he survive. Nikera wants some more too, comes off the back of the dragon, but they're going to turn back through. They have the smite, will secure that one. Ari doesn't get a steal, throws out a charm for good measure, but there's nothing to pick up off the back of that. The bot lane just rotated really poorly around the little bot lane island there, and they were just able to pick them up one by one. Braum gets away, but Jinx dies.
There's a saying in League, when you're moving around the map, take the safe way, not the quick way. Something not adhered to by Loughborough. Then the second they're split off, a really good snap collapse from Manchester, very well earning that dragon, but also really well playing it, because they have the situation. They're now 5v3, but they don't try and overcommit. You know, Pure goes so low, you think, oh, maybe Nyx is going to try and overextend this. He doesn't, but then no one from Manchester does either. And control, we've all seen the Yasuos, the Lee Sins. Self-control is something that maybe some League players can struggle with. So good to see that one from Manchester.
But the self-control came too late. because the Jinx had no self-control, path the aggressive way around the island, and the Braum went the defensive way, which is the classic. The AD carry who doesn't give any cares in the world and just starts walking around and then realizes, oh, my support's not here, but there's 5 of their team.
Well,
we're about to see
maybe 5 of the team, maybe more like 3 is unfortunate recall timing for Gecko. It looks like he thinks it's not going to happen and just getting out.
He doesn't. I don't even think he spots Silas there, so Ornn had to wait through till Silas was in the tri-brush against Sam Ornhorn, but it's really not going to be enough. The root comes through. Crown doesn't even have to steal anything to put to use. Nykero's going to go really low. He survives on about 10 HP.
That's why you pop your pots, people. That's why you use the refillable.
That is why you use their refillables. And now Ari's going to have to come up. And the Tahm Kench comes through. They're going to try and catch Silas up here. Really nice flash over the fat wall. And there's nothing more here, I think. Ari's really forcing, wants to get Costa, misses the Q. Is Hawkshot hits him with the dubstep ignite, and will take that one down, but it's really just a consolation prize.
It's a bit of consolation, but that's one of the things you hate in League. If you're Costa in that situation, you're juking, you're moving, you're outplaying all of Ari's skill shots, flash auto ignite. It's like, okay, you know what?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you put your hands up and you say, fine, I'll die for both your summoners and your ult, and now you're in a mobile mid lane for like 60 seconds.
You're okay with it. The thing is, so Manchester, they play that dive, again, really well, and something that's not coordinated from Loughborough is you have to be aware of where mid lanes are, where junglers are. You have to be ready for these dives to happen. Yep. But having said that, although it looks like it's bad for Loughborough...
Oh, we might see Pure Kitchen getting caught here, but he doesn't. Really easy EW away there, and the Sivir ult burn just for good measure.
But there's a huge chunk coming out in the mid lane there. Like you said, Immobile Mage, no ultimate as well. Crown is very aware of this, and even though he's... I wouldn't say he's down in items right now, but he manages to go ahead and pick up a pretty free one. He's also somehow managed to pick up a lot of Magi stacks at some point.
And we just saw on our screen there that... Silas got the ult off while she was recalling. She flew back to base, but he yanked the ult all the way back from the pool for himself there.
Yeah, so that was I mean, he's okay with it. He's got the ult, right?
Yeah, so that was a new interaction. And he only wanted the ult, but I didn't even know that was in the game there.
So it was weird because I think the... Oh, no, because she got all the way back, so it doesn't matter. Because I think the ult does 1 damage.
Yeah, it does 1 damage. Yeah, because you do get tower aggro.
Yeah. It's one of those things. There's also Bard ult does about 0.25 true damage, but another Kench ult.
Yeah, and a really nice Rakan combination there, really countering out the Tahm Kench ult, and the Jin's going to throw it down to try and keep himself alive. The Braum stacks are there, just 1 more, but it's not going to be enough. Self-control coming through here as they back themselves up. The lick from Tahm goes wide, and Crown's playing like a madman. He has to eat on a big cooldown though, so he's going to have to walk away after missing that one.
I think that's too much self-control.
Too much.
From Loughborough.
Yep.
They had the 3 stacks on the Xin. They're very scared because obviously he has his ultimate going.
Yep.
But once you stun him, you can just walk into the circle. He was very split from the team. They have, I think they have vision in that tri-push. It's not too bad to just get the Jinx to just walk up with a rocket.
Yep.
You have the Braum to protect as well. It was a really nice fissure cutting off that corridor. I think they could have played that a bit riskier.
Yeah. And yeah, granted, they are 3k gold behind, but 2,000 of that gold is on Costa, and Costa could not have got in that fight. So that's a very level playing field. With ult already burned, that was really nice, but we are going to just see Mosh Mashy go down for free there.
And so this is something, like I was saying, we want to see the Chad's top lane one.
We talk about Chad.
This is pretty Chad itself.
He's stepping right up. He really wants this one. He's just going to dash over the wall now.
But yeah, we were talking about Chad top laners, right?
Chad top laners.
And I said, picking tanks is kind of disrespectful. We might see
another dive. We just have no time for analysis, but they do back up. They were just securing turrets, and now they go up 3 turrets to nothing.
And they'll move to the dragon.
5,000 gold lead. And a 3rd dragon for Manchester.
Yeah, this time round it will be the Cloud. So no Infernals coming into this game, but you're A-okay with this. And with Rakan and Sivir, movement speed is not something you will say no to. But if they can stop doing things so I can try and make my point about top laners, please God. The thing is, Mosh Mashy doesn't look too comfortable on this tank because he's playing very greedy, and it doesn't look like traditionally greedy, but just things like staying for these towers. He's died twice, nearly died a 3rd time to the exact same dive, and it's things like he thinks, oh, he's playing Aurelia, maybe he can outplay it, maybe he can do something. It's a skill matchup. If you are playing Ornn, this is not skill reliant. This is not something you outplay. It's just something you die to. Yeah, we saw even the best that he could outplay that dive, the first one, which he lived through. It was still, he didn't get anything out of it, right?
Sure.
So I think that this is definitely something that is sort of flaring up to me as a big flag from Loughborough.
He definitely lost more than he gained as well. He didn't die, but he did have to burn his flash there. Even though I personally don't think he needed the flash after Costa used his, but they used it at the same exact time, I think. And he did lose that, which means that he's a mobile, so they just came back and did the same thing again. They're like, he will stay under the tower, and we're going to see another freebie. Pure Kitchen jumps away, and the Jinxo procs there, and we'll take them out.
Looked like the Guardian was going to be enough, but I think that was just the tip of the AoE of the rocket there. That's a pretty greedy play from Pure Kitchen. We've all done it, though. You know, you can't fault him too bad. We've all gone, oh, I can get that last hit. I'm on Rakan, I'm mobile. I can just get that last hit on the auto. But the slow from the zap and the charm, it's enough, and that will be enough to allow Loughborough to now move on towards this tower.
And this will be their
first tower of this game.
It's really nice to get the first tower here, and they're going to keep running because they do have Jinx excited for the second time here.
But they also have Jinx on half health.
Yeah, and because she takes 2 turret hits there, I think, and then the Sylas arrives, steals the Ornol, and goes run. Or else sound it, and they choose run.
Also, they didn't have vision on Costa. They've now seen that Costa turns up in the bot lane to farm the rest of that wave, but at the time they were unaware. Also, I think just slightly important to note, but a while ago Crown took the ult from Tam Kench. You can see it's almost back up. He just used it to farm.
Yeah.
And look at that. Oh, you can see.
And they steal the blue buff away.
You can't eat it. You can't eat the blue, so you can't do the thing where you max range Q, gulp it in with the Q.
And he didn't have the smite because he's playing with that unsealed spellbook, which we talked about earlier. So he couldn't smite it, and he just had to watch his blue buff get taken in front of his eyes.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when that one happens, but we take a second to look at this game. It's, you know, 2 towers up, 3 dragons, 4,000 gold. It's not, oh, don't do it. Okay, at least he got it.
Yeah, he did.
He might go down for it.
He has the grey health. He's going to pop that here. Surely he does. He's not able to. He gets CC'd for the second time this game. Does he know that he has that button? Another one goes down. Jin is now 1-for-1. They're looking to collapse here onto Jinx. Jinx goes really, really low, but will survive with the flash out. Camille on the backside gets himself a tower on the other side of the map. Sivir goes down too. Ornn hits him with the clap. And we do get to see that one, but now he's running. Sylas is here to chase. He can definitely root him up here. Lots of damage coming out. Sylas has got all damage items 2 there for himself. Picks himself another 300 gold. That's really, really good for them.
I think we have to quote the new LEC rap. If you heard that one, the Origin thing, was it? It's bad drafts, it's bad dreams, it's Mickey's wrist. It's just greed. You see, yet again, Gecko, without popping the shield, he used the barrier during the fight, which was interesting because it actually stopped him getting grey health. Yeah. But again, he sat there with this massive, massive grey health shield, and again, more greed. Yeah. Tsunami just forced to drop. You see Gecko try and get the save. He's flashing forward.
Hits with the flash, misses that. Does have the Righteous Glory, so he should be able to pick this one up. But hits him with the lick. Not able to get the Devour for style points. Just one back, but it's not worth trading that. Your Jinx is stepping up into melee range of the minions to farm them under a tower when there's 3 enemies nearby. What is going on here, Loughborough?
It's not looking great. And now we're seeing the same.
Braum face checking to try and get some Baron vision, gets caught out by the Jhin. Is really lucky to survive there. They could have forced harder as the Civ, but they were unlucky that the Sivir ult, I had about 10 seconds left before she could use that.
It's usually safe to go for those kinds of things with Braum, but he didn't have anyone to fall back on. Think about it. Tam Kench Braum, amazing set to go and clear vision.
Really,
because
really
the Braum
nice.
walks up, he jumps back any danger, he gets eaten as well. Yeah, it's something they don't have. And yet again.
And here we go, we see one more. Costa has to use the flash to keep himself alive, but that is more than worth it. As you take him out and get so low pressure onto that tower.
This is huge. Look, he's dishing out damage.
They have to collapse, and the Baron is up.
This Baron's gone. You've got Triforce Camille, arguably the best tower taker in the game, I would say.
Yep, second only to Diana, who is basically a Tuesday.
But yeah, true. Look, they've brought down the Ahri, the most fed member, and we see the fight immediately.
Yeah, straight away, they're just going to take the Jinx out here for free. She's flashing in her last fight, but really, really good kiting there. Braum blocked everything with his shield, and they did stand behind Braum, so that paid off for them there. But it's not worth it. They're all chunked out. They'll just go back to the Baron, and they secure that one for free.
And just to prove a point, Gecko didn't use his thick skin in that one either. But
I don't think so far on camera he has used it.
Hang about.
Costa could go down here, but looks for the outplay. Does go down. Does not cost Nyx his life. You do get one back, but they trade that for the Baron.
And that is the most important Baron to remove. You've taken it away from the split pusher. Again to go in on the greed. He's ulting into melee range. Admittedly, it's making the damage go faster, but also I think just ult to the edge of the thing. Yep. You've got Ignite ticking. whilst you're dashing back, the balls will go out and Kench can eat you.
Yeah, I feel like they've got 2 ranged champions on their team, but they're unaware of it. We've seen them in melee range a lot this game, and it's really, really worrying. The biggest thing as well is also it's not just greed from the Ahri, it's greed from Costa. If you're down on the bottom side, yes, you pressure the tower, but you've just chunked out 3 champions top side, you've got 4 people on the Baron, there's no way they get there, just recall, save yourself the time, get the really nice reset back timing, come back with a Baron buff, and you can assign your lane. You just recall, you go top, he could already be on that wave there, and that's so much pressure, but instead he dies, gives away money.
Look, it was slightly mechanical in the, I think he could have dodged some more things. I'm not sure what he dodged with the ultimate, but I'm sure there was definitely an opportunity there. But it doesn't really matter because then you have Kench is just going to ult on you anyway.
Exactly. So like, if you're putting yourself in a position where you say, oh, I could have dodged, I'm going to have to come back to that one. They do just jump over the wall there. They use the seed, and that's it. Ornn ult for seed? Really not worthwhile.
It's just another with Ornn.
And now I'm getting a case of people doing stuff while I'm trying to explain what I want to talk about. And I wanted to talk about the fact that if you say, oh, I could have dodged that, or he survived on 10 HP, you shouldn't have taken the fight in the first place. There's always a macro decision that is better. And a really nice shot combo gets them straight over the wall, and Asien hit for free.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot send 3 people top lane when you're versus Baron with an almost exposed inhibitor. There's something you can do. This is really good capitalization from Manchester, and it really seems like they are playing the map a lot better.
Oh, and we're going to see Sylas combo really well, despite Ahri having ult on. She just instantly blows up. That one's out of the fight. Braum comes in a little bit late, does keep Moshmani alive. He goes really low. Nick Nakaira would probably go down here, but they juggle tower go really nicely. They're trying to dive really hard onto the Jinx. Costa's gone in way too far. He's bitten off too much, and he is going to take that down to a 1v1. Jinx is excited, but they can't capitalize on it because they're all blinking health. You can see the red bits coming up on the side of their screen as they will look to push for more, and they try to defend the tower. Crown really wants this. Flash. And he goes and he hits him with the flash. Hasn't even used the root yet. Gets 2 for free. Jinx is going to go down. 40-second death timers on 2 of their members here. They're going to get themselves at least 1 inhibitor. They could even look to rotate to the top side, which they're going to.
They just don't have the wave, but Pure Kitchen's on full health. He can tank up the tower there. Going to be able to clear this one out because, of course, they have the Civet. Are they going to look for the 3rd tower? It looks like it's a no. A lot of people on low health. Ahri respawning. He doesn't have Spirit Rush, but still very dangerous. In this game, we said that you had to get the early leads, not early leads, the sort of like 12-minute leads, which they were doing with the Kench and with the Ahri, but just a little bit too much greed from Moss mashing in the top lane means that Costa starts to become out of control, and then they don't transmit that lead. They don't take what Ahri had. Ahri was before that fight 5-1 and 3, They don't take that Ahri and start sending her down to the bottom lane. They just completely ignore it. And again, I think this is a case of that sort of, we were saying before, if you have this style where you play around top lane, yes, you can take this thing where you play around bot, where you try to play more bot side or mid focus instead. You can do that, but the issue you're going to have is you're just significantly less experienced. Sure, you're trying to maybe counter what they can do, but now they're really starting to show, the mid-jungle synergy, that's something that they would have.
And then Costa gets charmed against there. The Ornn ult is going to instantly sound. They want to pause the fight. There's 2 Ornn ults, I think, and when they're going to see that one go down. But Crown has his ult up almost immediately, and he's going to have to be able to start that fighting from other people. It's really not worth it for Moshmani there.
Yep, it's what's it on? About 16-second cooldown.
Yep, 16-second cooldown, but he has to cycle between members of the enemy team.
Of course.
And he's now just picks up the Ahri one, and now they have to respect the fact that he can engage on them from like a screen away. That's 4 dashes, and the dash and the effective Amumu dash. Yeah, 6 if you include the W. That is horrible.
That's a lot of mobility. Of course, some of it more situational than others, but this game is looking almost entirely done and dusted here.
Yeah, that's 3 inhibitors. The chance of coming up from 3 inhibitors is always bad, let alone when you're 9k gold behind. And knock-up coming in from Moshmani is definitely not what they want. The Time Kench E is used on him when he really wants to save that one for the Jinx. He's going to go down. Costa's diving into the backline as he has done since minute 1 of this game, and he does kill himself pretty much on the plate there, but it's really not going to matter. They get themselves 1 tower, blinking health bars. Can Ahri make a hero play? The only one with gold on their whole team, but now it's just him and his Braum. Braum's going to go down as well. Nikes wants to make this play, looks to charm up somebody, but who's it going to be? It's not enough. The Nexus goes down, and Loughborough takes the hit here as Manchester really disciplined them there here in game 1.
Yeah, Manchester pretty decidingly picking up that win. The first 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, it was looking really even, but just superior rotations, having that winning top lane, what they've played to all season, really working out well for them there. I think this was a good experiment from Loughborough.
Yep, for sure.
Definitely, if this is a good proof of concept, if this is something you pulled out a few weeks ago, maybe it works. This is not something you can try in the finals. It really seemed to me like you have Nike so far ahead, but you're like, okay, what are we doing? And Smash is like, oh, don't worry, guys, I'm top lane. I'll sort this one out. And he just gets dove 3v1. It's like, probably should have seen that one coming.
I mean, they wanted to play bot lane, and there was a clear lack of planning. There was a clear lack of comfort in a bot lane playstyle. Because even though Nikes was really fed, and they could have converted that onto the Jinx and got themselves a really nice position, they had the Braum to assist that. Ahri does combo really nicely there with the auto attacks, but she just kept going top and trying to equalize 3-man roams. It's always going to be a 2v3 which you lose, regardless of the fact that they've got such hard divers. And it was really, really poor planning from the side of Loughborough there.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of slip-ups on macro. Obviously, some very greedy plays from both sides coming out, which, to be fair, it kind of hurts to watch, but it's also kind of really fun to watch.
Yep, they've definitely kept it exciting for us.
It's a little bit interesting in that regard, but we have to obviously talk about the pros coming out from Manchester here. These plays from Crown, again with the greed, but it was things like, I just love that you could see it in his eyes, some of the plays that he wanted to make. Trying to call them out, but you can just see it's like, okay, he's not like walking up, but you're like, well, he's not walking back either. He's got flash, is he? And he just flash dashes in on
every single time. And it wasn't just Crown. We talked about Chad top laners this game, and Costa did play like a Chad, but Crown was like, no, I'm the Chad of this game.
Oh yeah.
He built himself that Rabadon's third item. Really, really happy with that one. Finished the game with a 700 gold shutdown. Managed to not throw that one away as well towards the late stages of the game. And he wasn't just aggressive, he was surprisingly clean in the end of the game after getting caught twice, really, really greedily, which could have been avoided. He learned his lesson and stopped walking up to Tom.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit risky the first couple of times, but once he's figured that one out, he's good to go. Does have the 10 stack Dark Seal. Did not turn that one into a Magi, so
which we would have liked to see.
Maybe we sort of turned down the Chadometer just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't as great as it could have been.
Yeah, his to improve next game, you build Magi's.
I mean, if we just take a second to just glance over the damage charts, I just love that we've got Sivir, Jinx, these two hyper carries, and okay, I'd say they're almost not even in the running. The Sivir starting to clean up in those later fights does end up with a sort of top 3 damage, but just take a look at that Sylas.
That Sylas did 27,000 damage. Second was
as much damage as his top jungle put together.
Horrific. And you consider the fact that the top laner also was second for damage with 19,000 damage. Like, it's just no damage coming out from the side of Loughborough either. Their stats are dwarfed. Even their Jinx narrowly gets more than their Jhin, and I'm pretty sure Tom might have even got more damage than her.
It was close. It's like 51 damage.
There's 51 damage difference.
That's basically one sunfighting.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we were saying is going to be the issue. We looked at the comp, we're like, okay, you kind of lack damage, you need the Jinx. She doesn't get ahead. You don't put any of your original lead into her. You are stuck with Ornn, Tam, Kench. It was a cool idea. It was pretty interesting to watch, but they just couldn't capitalize on it. I fully expect to see Loughborough now go back to what they know, what they've practiced. They're going to go back. They're going to pick all-out top laner. I don't know how the side selection works. I don't know if we swap or if it's loser chooses.
They get choice of sides in this next game. So it can flip-flop. They don't have to pick blue side again, and they could try and get themselves a counter pick there.
Okay. So we'll have to see. Are they going to go for counter? Is Aurelia going to be left open? Because it really shocked me the blue side they didn't ban Aurelia. I was like, well, you can first pick it. I mean, it has questionable matchups, definitely, but it is semi-flexible. I mean, the mid laner does play things like Zed and Yasuo, Aurelia isn't too far out of that wheelhouse.
I imagine that's in Crown's artillery there.
I would assume it's somewhere around there.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to take out of that, for sure. I really, really liked... I actually really liked the comp from Loughborough, which is what worried me the most. I think that it was a lack of execution.
It was not terrible. It was
there was a lot of avenues they could have gone down, especially when you consider the fact that you consider the fact that the Tarm Kench was nice, and it did actually play the game relatively well. They just didn't play around the right areas.
Yeah, there's only so many times we can say it, you know. It was looking decent, and then it suddenly just wasn't, you know. They didn't transfer the leads that they had, you know.
Yep, for sure, so...
Wait, where'd my chat go? Right.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can say. We're going to get into this one. I think that we've got Manchester now heading up the blue side. I believe they've choiced. Something they're bringing up in the chat, which I got confused by as well. They proxy picked the Nasus.
Yeah, when they really didn't need to.
Even ignoring the fact that they have League unlocked, it was Gecko that picked the Nasus as the proxy.
Yeah, so he definitely owns Tarm.
I don't know.
I'm really confused.
It's an interesting one, to be sure.
For sure.
But no, we'll have to see. But
yeah,
it looks like we are going to dive straight into this next one.
Yep, dive straight in.
Nice. Okay, so what do we need to see change in this? Obviously, we want to see the top lane focus come out from both teams.
Yep.
Yeah, it's already worked once for Manchester. A little bit better communication, I think, from Loughborough about the presence of these dives and whatnot, but I think it's like they don't have to change too much.
No, I just think they need to be cleaner. They need to have some more self-discipline, and they need to play to their win conditions, which they really didn't. And self-discipline we did talk about during the game, and let's see whether we actually see it.
Yeah, okay, it's one of those things a little bit harder to sort of wean out. It's so ingrained in you. Right now, though, Band looking identical, Riven still open. But other than that, nothing has changed.
They did swap sides, but they've chosen to go with the same bans, which is often surprising because red side, you really don't have to ban as much.
Yeah, there's
typically anyway.
It's the first picks you don't want, and also when you're on blue side, there's sort of like, okay, well, what duos don't we want them to pick? You can maybe ban one away. Obviously, the classic going around right now is you just ban Taric or something like that, so that they can't pick Sona Taric, which neither of these teams play, thank God, so we won't have to see that one. He says, I believe, who is it? It's Loughborough support plays Sona, one of the sports plays Sona, so there's the tiniest chance, but please dear God no. Right now we're still 5 out of 5 bans identical, so is Riven going to be let through or not? That's going to be the burning question.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that one. The Riven would be really exciting, and I do feel like they could even just first pick it. And they banned the Jhin. I didn't think the Jhin was that much of a problem that game, but clearly they did, and that's really interesting. They could be trying to just play the game slower, but the Sylas sped the game up so fast, and they're hovering it now. It is the Riven first pick. It makes a lot of sense. They don't know if the other team... They probably know that the Sylas is a potential for the other team. Most people play it, but it's not that strong. It was just executed really well.
I think that's what it comes down to. It comes down to execution. Crown hopping off on that champion. Now we'll have to see who's going to be the one taking this Riven this time around. So I think taking the Zins out off the table, and you also have the Jarvan off. Those are your two traditional level 2 early aggression junglers off. Is that going to affect the 2v2 in the top lane? We'll have to see. Things like the Riven, how good is her level 2 jungle?
Oh. We're going to see lobby crash. That is really, really interesting.
Interesting. Happens sometimes.
A bug splat. The classic. A series would not be complete without a bug splat. That is essential to League of Legends, I feel, to be honest.
It's integral. It really is. Let's try and get some chat going here.
Yeah, let's see whether we can sort this out and try and get up.
Jesus Christ. There we go. Oh! Esports notification. Neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to just take a quick hot minute to get back into this one. I assume they'll do same picks and bans from the sort of same point that we got to. So, you know, we'll see the Riven coming out. Same 6 bans. And so I'm not sure what the rules will be on the sort of the hovers that were there before the bug splat. I assume that they're just free to do what they want from that point on. It's just the Riven that's really guaranteed. Not 100% certain on that one.
Yeah, for sure. The Riven definitely going to be taken, and also definitely worrying for the side of Loughborough that can go into 3 different lanes, as we spoke about right before the game started today. And why would you leave that one open? It's scary. They're really good at that champion.
Oh, yeah.
And you struggle to draft against it because you don't know what lane it's going to go into.
It's just one of those flex picks. I mean, it's, Riven jungle is not something that you talk about a lot, right?
No.
But in this case, it is.
It is.
Nike loves it, plays it a lot, could be the one playing it in this game. I think the strengths of it, sort of like questionable. I don't really know how it does in the sort of early game. I feel like you kind of need level 3 at least to do something.
Yeah.
But think about things like Warrior, right? The most efficient AD item there is in the game.
Yeah.
Riven has something like 12 AD scalings. You're going to have a good time building that item on
Yeah,
Riven.
for sure. It's just going to... And Therax as well. The state of that champion... that item means that if you're not just going for the super Chad run them down build, maybe you're even, you're like, oh, I'll just take that, and now I have this disgustingly enormous shield. I combine that with the shield that I have built into my kit, and you really have a force to be reckoned with there. You can't chunk the Riven down, which is the normal counterplay, and it just puts you in a really, really big dilemma.
It's just so rough. It's a very interesting champion, to say the absolute least. But
yeah, for sure.
I'm interested. I really want to see how it goes. Right now we're seeing obviously Morgana Kate actually going to be locked on in there.
Yeah.
A very oppressive, strong bot lane.
Really good, and really strong right now because of the state of Morgana. Morgana may not even be going down to the support, as we've been seeing it mid in a lot of the major leagues all over the world. It's horrible.
It did get nerfed.
Constant lane priority did get nerfed, but I feel like it's still probably viable.
I mean, probably. I think it's such a strong lane, but that does kind of worry me a little bit. The Caitlyn is something that we do see from Tsunami, but we've just seen what happens when they try to have a less top-centric playstyle. If you're locking in something like this in your bot lane, that makes me think that you want to play something that's a little bit more bot-centric. You want to play around those Drakes, around getting those early plates and whatnot. If you're doing that, you are not playing around your top lane, and I feel like we could just have a repeat of the last game.
True, because that is lane priority. And what we've seen with lane priority comps is that you want to invade, but that's not Gecko's play style. He wants to shove his own jungle and then appear in a lane. And when you have lane priority bot and you want to start building dives, that's not going to suit him. But we do see Graves locked in, which does the invading really, really well. Exactly what I was talking about. I really like that draft adaptation there.
Okay, so yeah, definitely a switch up from Batam Kench. I have to say, I am not too much of a fan in the of Graves in the current state of the jungle. He kind of has a bit of a rough time. Power farming isn't what it used to be. I've heard reports that Urgot is for new Graves. Yet to see it. We'll have to see, is Graves the new Graves? Also, the item changes for crit. Losing Stormrazor was a big one for Graves. So I'm very interested to see how this one ends up working out. And it looks like Manchester think we're going to see something a little bit more chatty, because one of the staple picks, that Olaf, has been taken away.
So apparently they are scared of him flexing a little bit this game. He's upset, he lost the first game, maybe he comes back with a vengeance, and they're going to try and prevent that as much as they can with these second rotation bans.
I mean, I'm kind of worried if he picks something tanky, because... sorry, not tanky, if he picks something Chad, because then you don't have a tank. You've got Graves jungle, Kate Morgus, you've got decent poke and whatnot, but if you have no front line, I think it's going to get pretty rough. So that does worry me again, that I think they might try the same thing that's just failed for them previously. Yep. The only difference I think this time round will be is you have a little bit more of a carry-oriented jungler, because in the last game we saw the lead put on Ahri. Ahri could not transfer that lead. Maybe you put the lead onto a bit of a more aggressive jungler, and then you try and transfer that one down to the bottom lane. I think they're playing Caitlyn into Sivir, right? Yep. There is no way that they should be losing things like dragons coming into this game now. I think they're going to really hard try and play around that one. So what do we want to see for the rest of the map? Obviously, we just get counter pick in mid lane. Okay, they have no tank. The game's over.
They've just instantly picked the Nico up. We were talking about Chad. I think this is the least Chad top laner.
Yeah, it's the insecure Chad.
Yeah, insecure Chad. You're like, I'm huge, but I don't know it. Yeah. And they're just stood there, gonna just auto attack the probably Riven or something, just down over and over again, hitting them with the root through the minions, and we're gonna see Fiddlesticks.
I think that has to be a placeholder, right?
It could be going support along with the Civet. They did practice this pick a lot.
Do they play it?
They practiced this pick
People still play that?
They practiced this pick a lot, support, against my team because of our support players' orientation. And they must have really liked the Fiddlesticks support. If we do see that.
But Morgana.
Yeah. I'm really unsure about that one.
I think that's a bit of an interesting one. Now, Vinico could still go mid, could go top. We just take a second to change on that. Morgana, of course, could still go mid, but I think it's pretty guaranteed. By this point, it's support. And if that is a real Poppy, then there is technical flexibility between the Morgana and the Poppy. Poppy support is not terrible. However, with this matchup, I think it's almost definitely better to keep the Morgana down bot. So yeah, they're going to swap that Poppy up to top. Nico will go into mid lane. I don't know how that goes versus Sylas, but I assume it's not great.
And they take the Camille again top. Yeah. And Poppy good into the Camille. The Loughborough team with both top laners always default to the Poppy pick. So they're a big fan of it. They've got a lot of practice on it. And we said that. We need stuff that they're practice playing. But Nico mid Graves jungle doesn't feel like their playstyle.
Oh, it's an interesting one to be sure. I think the Poppy is really strong here. Camille, Riv, and Sylas, all champions that are going to get hard denied by the Poppy. You know, Fiddlesticks, he ults in, you just bop him out. You don't even have to ult him, you can just tackle him out. Yep. Sure, you're going to take some of the damage, which isn't going to be great, but, you know, late enough in the game, I think you'll be fine.
Yep.
But this Graves Nico really, yeah, like you say, it really does worry me. I think another issue you're going to have is that Nico's E is a root. I think I'm correct saying that. Which means that Camille and Sylas can both throw out their various tethering abilities.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
The Camille, if she's rooted, she can't jump off the wall, but she can still slingshot out to it.
Yep.
Sylas, as far as I'm aware, he can just throw out the chain on his abduct once he's rooted.
Yep.
So you think that, like, well, Nico, he dashes in, you root him, you throw Qs onto him. But realistically, what happens is he dashes in, you root him, you throw Qs onto him, he has a shield from the dash, so the Qs don't really do any damage. And then, as the root's expiring, he's going to chain you, and he's just going to jump to you anyway.
Yeah. And what else is interesting? You take the Nico mid. Do you go AP or AD? Because if it is AD, they have an overwhelming, dominating idea there of just having all these AD champions. Morgana's really not contributing any magic damage.
Yeah, I think she has to go AP.
Yeah, she has to go AP this game, and she has to be a source of engage, and you play it effectively like the Kennen.
I mean, essentially, you have the Caitlyn Morgana, so they've got a really good pick, right? I think the hard engage on Nico, it's very rough. You basically need flash. You can engage with your W a little bit to get your ult in there, but it's not great. I think they're going to have to try and look a little bit for picks. It's really hard to engage onto them. You know, you've got Poppy, you've got Nico ult is a really good disengage, and you've got the Morgana as well. But I think disengage is one of those. So these are like pick disengage. They're really hard to play, right? Yeah. It's very hard to do properly. It's like things you see. It's like you see it get wrong in LEC. You know, in LCK, people are still struggling to execute perfectly because you make the tiniest slip up, or you get slightly greedy. You know. You think, okay, I know that we're not the 5v5 comp, but, you know, we've got one Infernal, and then you flash into 5 people. It can suddenly go very wrong. And we're seeing the greed is definitely the name of the game for both teams coming out here, and because of that, I just think on execution difficulty, it has to go to Manchester.
Yeah, for sure. I strongly agree. And they've basically done this before. They've swapped out the support pick, a little bit less of a reliable engage, but if Fiddlesticks does ever get an ult off, it's going to be really horrible to play against. Nico ults maybe could be quite good, but the shield's going to burn off with just like one tick from Fiddlestick ult. And then the root doesn't matter because Fiddle's still there burning you down. So
yeah, I mean, his damage is definitely not to be scoffed at. You know,
no, it is horrible.
He doesn't build too much AP. In fact, a lot of Fiddlesticks even going for Mobies as opposed to something like Sork Shoes. But it's still a lot, especially on the ultimate. It really does rack up. And when you've only got this one tank, again, you know, Poppy, she can bop him out. But you're versus Camille, so you don't really even want to build armor, you know, you're just trying to isolate as much health as possible. And then, you know, Riven and Sivir are really your threats in a fight. Sylas is not touching you if you are the Poppy, which means that you're not really building magic resist until like your 4th or 5th item. And that can be a real issue, you know, versus something like the Fiddlesticks. The Sylas, okay, Silas isn't really going to touch you. He's going to bop you with the occasional lash, you know, the X coming out from that Q. Maybe some AoE damage coming out from his passive. But the real issue you're going to have is that Fiddlesticks in team fights.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is that...
That's interesting, just real quick.
Yep.
Halo Blades Graves.
That is spicy. That's what I've seen Graves players play recently.
Okay, I've thought about it. I love Halo Blades. I think it could be really strong on Graves. Personally, I am physically incapable of playing him without Fleet Footwork. I cannot play. I've tried so much to play like Electrocute Lethality. Cannot do it. Couldn't do it with Dark Harvest either when that was Giga broken. So Halo Blades, really interested to see how that one works out. And of course, we'll see it in just a few moments as we dive on into this game.
Yep, straight away. I really like the Halo Blades. He makes your ganks really influential when his ganks are already kind of weak. But here's the big thing, right? The Nico's definitely AP. Also got themselves that Comet there for themselves. But they're in this position where they have to engage. You always want to engage onto a Fiddlesticks. You can't sit back, you can't...
True.
You can't let him engage onto you, because if you do, you've almost guaranteed to lose, right? But their only form of engage is the Nico or the Poppy, and it's not actually that reliable. Caitlyn Morgana lane never wants to really engage. They will win the lane, they want to dive, and they want to kite. But you can't kite that team comp. I think they're in a really big, just a really poor spot here.
Alright, well, we're not going to be seeing level 1 shenanigans this time around, you know. Everyone's just warding out, and admittedly, when you've got Riven jungle, maybe you think that you want to kind of chill it out just a little bit. We're always going to have some sort of spicy jungler coming in this game, I feel like. Maybe we'll see the Mordekaiser unbanned at, eventually, as we see Crown again, level 1, even without hitting the, without managing to hit the stuff.
Still chunks him out. I don't even think he autoed him. I think he just autoed a minion and just hit him with
just get the AoE, yeah, you're good to go.
That's disgusting.
Seeing a really heavy leash actually coming out on the bottom half of the map there. Yeah. And they look like they missed nothing. Brilliant. They actually don't miss a single creep, but they do get pushed very heavily onto tower.
Yeah, but they're inevitably going to get pushed on the tower here, I feel.
Oh, right, we're seeing action.
We're going to see a level 2. We really like a level 2. Goes
flash,
down.
Dash,
dash.
Out the red
got
buff.
the red buff. Like Hera's there, but really low. They can definitely keep going. I'm not too sure Riven can do anything here. Graves wants to keep going. There was no route there for the Nico, so she couldn't flash and follow up there. Really, really interesting.
Alright, so we're seeing level 2 Graves gank is not something you often expect, but it is not impossible, especially Halo Blades are a really strong early route. You've got the red buff for the slows. If you can slow them, you can gap close, and you can dish out a lot of damage in a small amount of time. It's not something like a Jarvan CC, but it's pretty close, you know? And we see it works out well. He trades the flash out, and I think losing the flash on the mid lane here is more important. The Graves is going to be slightly more mobile, especially with obviously all the nerfs to the mobility from Silas. I think it's going to go well, but this is what you want to see from your mid laner. Walking up and trying to harass, however, it's spotted out.
Because that is so much damage!
Ignite,
just
tick it down!
Shots the Riven, where are they going to go?
Okay, I thought that was... It started off good. I was like, oh, he's just getting a bit of harass. And it's like, oh, he's inting as Riven turns it. And then you're like, wait, Nyx is a level up. And just deletes him. And ladies and gentlemen, this is partially the issue of picking something like the Riven jungle. Another great performance, it looks like, already from Nyx.
I'm really not sure how to break that one down.
Yeah, come on, give me some analysis.
I really want to analyze that, but it's literally...
It's mid difference, go next.
Yeah, FF, you won first game, you may as well just FF this one to level the playing field again.
Oh, crikey, okay, that's a bit of a rough one. Also, I'm pretty certain that Nico's icon is going to change on the minimap for us as well, which just makes life very difficult when it comes to calling things. But saying just a good trade from Costa, and interesting enough, this time around Costa goes for the Kleptomancy. So last time maybe he thought he had more kill pressure. This time, just going to chill and start raking in some of the money.
Yep, for sure. He doesn't want to dive so much. I guess he knows that he's going to try and roam. Saying that, Riven's top again.
Yeah, okay, we said the word dive, and now Riven is stop as the teleport comes in. She's just right now taking away the Krugs, but Mossmashy is taking a little bit of damage. Yep. It is hard to dive a Poppy.
Especially with two champions that entirely rely on dashes.
Oh yeah.
So
but we'll have to see if he walks up too far, and he does.
he
use
does
the
walk
dash.
up, but the Riven is adamant that she just wants to go back and kill the big frog.
Yeah, she's not there. She's piecing out just a little bit. It was potential, but to be fair, it would have been an incredibly risky, some might even say greedy, play there for the, you know.
For sure, it's definitely becoming
Costa,
a key word here in this series.
Well, they're learning.
They are learning. They're definitely learning. I really want to see whether this Fiddle is able to capitalize. We talked about how Fiddle isn't the greatest pick into Morgana, right? But Morgana always suffers into poke supports, and Fiddle is a poke support. Just constantly throwing out the silence and really pissing them off there. And I feel like he can get a lot out of that in terms of wave pressure, especially combined with the Sivir.
Yeah, I think another thing that's really important in the Fiddle-Morgana matchup is the sort of mental, because you can reactively spell shield the Fiddlestick's fear. It is hard, but there is a very tiny window you can do it. For the most part, it's based on prediction, though. And so there is that thing from Pure. He can just walk up to practically melee range, like, oh, am I going to fear you? Am I going to fear you?
Yep.
And the second that spell shield gets wasted, he's like, okay, cool, I'll just come back in 9 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Or he can even just flash onto the Caitlyn if a gank's coming through as well.
Sure.
Like, you put them into a position where use that spell shield, and then I'm just going to flash on the other one. So
that's why we see both teams have wards down in that bottom bush, because bush control is so important with Fiddlesticks, even pre-6, because of the fear from the bush, or the flash fear.
Yeah.
You need to know exactly where he is at all times. It's not good enough to track him. You need to be able to physically see him. Otherwise, you're going to be in for a really rough time.
It's just so crazy the amount of pressure he creates in the lane just by sitting in a bush. It's almost equivalent to that of Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
You're just sat there and you're going, go on, come near, I dare you. You can never face check anything. But they don't need to face check anything because their jungler's just soloing the Drake out.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we wanted to see, right? They have the sort of stronger bot lane. They don't, but really, that bot lane's not doing a lot right now.
They didn't even have priority in mid or bot. It was just
they had a little bit of mid priority.
Yeah,
it was a really good trade from Knights, chunking out Crown there. And just because of that, they decided to just straight up go for it. I don't know if they had, had intel on where Nykara was, but at the end of the day, it's Riven versus Graves. Early game, that's going to go very well for the Graves, who is going to go ahead and Reach will probably just pick up the same items, just the double longsword there.
But we see a similar pattern here, which is in the top lane. Even though there's a more favourable matchup this time for Moshmashi, it is a 24 CS lead already here at 7 minutes.
It's about to be 28 because Costa moving in, trying to solo out the red buff. He's having a pretty good time of it right now. He's going to go very low. He will probably just recall, but does have teleport. But Gecko is getting there.
Yeah, Graves is arriving.
Oh, he's fuming. He has no. Okay, actually, that's so bad from Gecko because you know if it's dead. See? Yeah. Even if you can't see it, if the icon is still there,
it's in the bush.
It's in the bush, and you saw how low Costa was. That was very possible from Gecko
and
to
Gecko
try and pick
just
that
was
up.
like, oh, they've taken my red. But he should have been like, there's someone in my bush, and got the freebie. He had flash. He was definitely not getting to that seed on time. All he had to do is just hit him with one auto.
Yeah. It's sometimes, to be honest, when I'm in that situation, especially if you're Graves, you've just come off of a bye, right? Sure, it could be the Camille, but it's early game, and it's very hard to have that sort of presence of mind about how low Camille will be. If you're a jungler, you're very used to having jungle items sustain. But a lot of the time, if you're because the Graves is stronger than the Riven's going to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can just say, so they're on it, flash dash into the bush. It sounds crazy to do it blind because you don't know how many people are there, but realistically, it probably could go well. Obviously, if it's 1v2, it's a bit rough.
Yeah.
But I think it's not an absolutely atrocious idea.
Yeah, I agree. And just dashing into the bush. He was definitely in range just to dash in and get full vision of the bush there. And then he could use the flash afterwards, and there's no reason not to. It's really not going to affect his path that much either.
It's just kind of rough. You know? And the red is so important.
But he might be redeeming himself here. He does walk over a ward on the way, and I'm pretty sure that the jump is back
Campos
up.
a little bit more. Yeah. Able to use that dash out. Not going to be stopped by the Poppy, but will be popped up. And then free kill, it looks like. Trying to trade it out. Flashing out the shield. The auto cancel. And Costa gets out of that one alive, but now we're seeing action in the middle lane. Flash forced out from Crown. Not going to be able to try that one, but look at the Fiddlesticks. We've got action in all 3 lanes. He's hiding over the wall. He's popping in the Crow Storm. Coming on down onto the Morgana. Able to pick up that free kill for Pure Kitchen. And Costa actually sticking around top side. We've got 3 things happening in 3 lanes, but one of them turns into a kill and play.
Yep, and it was 2-1 in terms of favourable things happening on the side of Manchester there. Look at Crown looking to try and get himself some more here.
Okay,
and stealing that ult's going to be horrible, but he chooses not to at that point in time.
I think
his ult was just come back up. Didn't have it at that point in time.
And he's already stolen it. He's already taken the pop.
I want to cast our minds back to the top lane play, where Costa just got 2 flashes for his own. No, got 1 flash. But Poppy didn't actually have to use her flash there, but it did get the dash out of both of them along with the flash from the Graves and survived what really should have been a free kill.
It was very well played. We saw, we just didn't see it because directed cam XD, but a very well played dodging out the steadfast presence from the Poppy,
that was really
just baiting that to the sort of very finest edges, but because of the way that Costa had to move does mean he's susceptible to being pinned. But just really nice calculated aggression there. The ultimate really only dodging a tiny amount of damage, but also pushing Gecko out of range so that you can then try and flash away. Costa playing that very well, clearly very comfortable on this Camille.
He picks it up for the 2nd game in a row, along with the 2nd game in a row for both his mid and his AD carry, and we talked about comfort before the games, and that's exactly what they're going for.
Is this a bait?
This is a bait. That Derek's mid laner here trying to look really aggressive. Nikes just walks up, hits him with an auto, but Crown, self-control.
That's what I like to see.
Clean. He's showing us that he's not over-aggressive, but he is aggressive enough. Camille's just going to come in and take the ward that they just tried to use to bait.
Yeah,
it's
that's kind of interesting that, I mean, Camille knew that was there. I guess she has nothing to do in lane because of the situation with the wave. So go, I'll clear that one out so that Nikara doesn't get spotted. And now you move up, just catch the rest of the wave. It's not really anything lost.
And they get themselves 2,000 gold up. They have dropped 1 death, but that was just mind-blowingly surprising amounts of damage from the Nico mid here. Now she might be able to get herself a revenge with the flash ult.
I mean, that's Nico, very immobile champion. You try and push up, and I think it's a really good, really good opportunity. So working around with what they know across the map. You see, this makes a lot more sense now. Costa clears out the ward. The second you see Costa up in top lane, suddenly they think they're safe mid, but now we see a bit more action up top. Graves coming in down, a nice dodge again from Costa, going to try and dash out, but will be blocked by the wall, so tries to turn this one back into a fight. But the flash, the slap, the bop, and Gecko picks up that kill. Costa almost managing to outplay that one, but falling flat a little bit, dashing into the wall instead of over it. Does mean he will go down, but at least manages to trade the flash from Mosmashi.
It was a nice. He was able to get the trade off. Wasn't able to get the dash, the second half of the dash over the wall there, which is really annoying. Denied by the fatness of that wall. But will go down, which was effectively for free. Just poor positioning, allowing himself to get shoved up against the wall, and also not only does that shove CC him, but it also allows Graves to get that double proc on his Q there immediately, hitting him for big damage. Let alone with the following hail of Braid's procs that he instantly starts to whittle out straight away afterwards.
And something I'm really happy to see from Manchester is just the way that they're playing around the map, Okay, interesting. Immediate ult steal and then usage from Crown. I think he sort of just noted that that ult's not going to be useful until he's got a lot of AP, so might as well just throw it for a little bit of poke, but I probably would have used it on Knights. But we see that the second the Graves goes top, bot lane's shoving as hard as they can to try and take that tower. They get Costa to come down and clear the ward. The second Costa shows bot, Nikara comes into the mid lane. It's things like that they're really working around vision and what both sides know. But now maybe it's a little bit greedy as Crown moving in, heals up a little bit, but not quite able to live through that one. Pure Vision going to get slowed, but no flash for Gecko, so he's not going to try and go any further in onto that one. But they're happy with it. You've got the Caitlyn, you've got the Morgana whapping away at that mid tower. I believe the Knights is there as well. As now Nikara uses the ultimate and tries to find out. Okay, he's got the slow, and here comes the flash of fear. They're going to pick up the 1 kill onto Gecko, and now Nico's looking for a little bit more. She goes on in with the ultimate, but here comes the Crow Storm. Nikara living just alive on the edge there, and there's dash in from Costa. Will pick up that kill. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, Poppy has teleported in. She'll land the stun onto the Camille. Poppy trying to just now get out of the situation she's put herself in, and Tsunami brought so low. Costa has flash, has hookshot. Is he going to look? No, he's going to get rooted, but the fear will deny the stun from Mosmashi. Excellent positioning will get Costa out of this one alive. Mosmashi not able to land the stun, and so nobody else will fall.
I mean, there was so much happening there, but what I want to go back to is the fact that they got this tower a few minutes ago, right before the Fiesta started. They got the bot lane tower against a team, against a lane which is entirely oriented around getting first tower. I mean, at that point, you can see tilt in a Morgana Caitlyn lane when they lose their tower, because that's entirely what they play around. They need that objective, and now they don't. They're able to rotate their bot up to top lane, which is what gave them the pace advantage in that play, because the Caitlyn Morg was rotating late, and they were coming in through the top side where they had their jungler, and they could collapse onto the Graves, who was definitely over-aggressive.
And it's like people always say, you know, don't pick X because it's a counter, you know. You're talking to people, it's like, oh, well, this champion counters this. You still shouldn't blind pick it in ranked. And it's very similar here. It's like, look, we've got, this is a strong lane, we'll pick this lane, but at the end of the day, it's about the knowledge. It's about what you know how to do. And so even though they shouldn't be winning the lane, superior macro is really coming up here. Meanwhile, a bit of macro play down here as we see the gank come through, but Costa again trying to outplay this one. He's going to flash away.
He does.
No
he should have his
red buff,
so
he should be okay. Mosmashi looking to get the knock over the wall, but the move speed might just be enough. The ultimate will not do enough to pick up that kill, and a nice dodge from Crown, so he will go in, steal away the soul shackles, but now trying to get out as he puts himself maybe in a bit too much of a sticky situation.
He was really in a bad spot there. I'm really surprised he got out. Really nice movement to dodge the Morgana bind there. Walks out, gets the little dash off, steals the chains and goes, go on, fight me, I dare you. My laner's taking your tower, and we're just going to take another one, potentially him through.
Yeah, they're giving it a go. They've got the Herald, but keep your eyes on Mosmashi. Not the most mana, but still in a decent position. But Crown's not the one that he's looking for. Crown is A-okay to take this fight, so he will dash on in. Not doing a lot of damage, but it could well be enough. Just chunks of health being traded on out as now the team turns up.
Yep.
Mosmashi just a little bit too out of mana, not enough CC to be able to lock down a Sylas, and so away they go.
There is so much going on here. Every single time we try to get some analysis in, they force another play because they've got total control over the pace of the game, and this is something that gets so understated, especially at this level of League of Legends. Who has control of the pace of the game? If you're scaling, you want to slow the game down. If you're a team that plays around their power spikes, you want to speed the game up when you're at those spikes. And that is where we're about to be for Manchester. They're already in total control, and as soon as we see the Triforce locked in for Camille, we see the Zhonya's completed for Fiddlesticks, even though he still has the he does have the stopwatch there.
Could go for the double.
He can just completely turn it on for the next actually 5 minutes, and there's no remorse from them.
And that right there is what I was talking about, having Camille versus all these roots. You're okay with it. It works versus Morgana as well. You know, you get rooted, it's fine. You just hook shot out. It's just like a Jarvan EQ.
But could that chunk cost them Infernal here? I'm not too sure, because you really do not want to start up a dragon against Fiddlesticks. He's just going to ult over the wall.
It's very risky, but
they do chunk Costa really, really low. There's a really nice flank here from Riven. They could pincer onto them, 2,000 gold.
And she goes for the flash, the knock up, the stun. It's 3 people and it's 1 kill. They're able to pick that one up, but will drop to the Piltover Peacemaker as now the flank comes through from Nico, and excellent Zhonya's will keep him alive. And now Sylas is the one throwing out those blossoms, and a good turn from Manchester. They managed to pick up this fight. Fiddlesticks' Crow Storm was used there, so he's not able to go any further with it, but they're okay. They picked up the first Infernal Dragon of this best of 5.
But there won't be another one. We will be getting our third air Drake to follow this one up. But they don't care. They are looking to push through, use that extra, the momentum they got in the form of 10% damage, to get themselves a little tower, and then they'll back out and get a really nice base timer as they go up to a whole 7,000 gold ahead here. It's looking really rough for Loughborough.
This is definitely a lot cleaner. You know, we saw a very slow start. Again, sort of similar, but you know, Nikes is getting ahead with that free kill that he got, but they then translated it to Cloud Drakes and him getting that sort of lane priority. But again, they're playing, or they're picking sort of stronger bot lanes, putting resources into the mid lane, that half of the map, and it's realistically just not working out.
No, it just doesn't feel like those resources that they're earning are going anywhere. It's like getting yourself a job and not spending it on anything. They really don't feel strong, even when they do have the leads. The Caitlyn's 2-0. But it doesn't matter, because she's down 20 CS. The Civics got themselves 5 assists. but we could be seeing some greed here.
That's a very dangerous move from Nikara. He will be blocked up by the Poppy, trying to dash out the Soul Shackles. Not actually going to be able to connect the stun heal, going to be used to give out some movement speed. And Nikara was just toying with him the whole time. But Gecko has the dash, has the ultimate, but he's way too far up. Will get feared. The Black Shield nowhere near fast enough, and the crit from Violin will pick up that one kill. Not going to look for any more though.
It just gets worse and worse for Loughborough here as they look to push up and take a 4th tower to Loughborough's 0. They will get rooted up here. Nice big chunk. This Knight is very healthy, but Costa can just go down bot and they can pressure 2 lanes at once.
Yeah, I mean, Costa is such a split pushing machine right now. You were talking about the Triforce, that one's been picked up, and that's just huge damage already that you'll be dishing onto a tower. Said he's going to dish it onto the ground, but, you know, pretty understandable when your team has no pressure on the map.
There's just so many power spikes, and they can continue to get them, and they continue to force spikes with them. That's the biggest thing. Cool, you've got your Triforce, but if you don't get to work around it when you're about within the first minute or 2 after getting it, it feels really sad. You're like, I've got this massive spike here, but I'm going to have to...
Yeah, massive spike. Well, massive plays up in the top lane. Crown just trying to get the kill onto Tsunami. Tsunami so low will drop to the Ignite, so that's 1 for Crown. He has the ace in the hole. It's not going to be too useful in this situation, so now he's trying to take out the Grace. He's going to go dash away. The Grace flash forward, also pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Fiddlesticks in the middle of the team, and Azonius is going to be dropped by the Morgana. She doesn't have the Soul Shackles out, so she won't get too much, and now Riven picks up 2 kills with the Wind Slash, looking to make it a 3rd, but not able to connect the stun. The Ignite ticking down, but will not be enough because of the Valor Shield, just keeping Nikara alive. But it's a 3 for 2, so it is still in favour of Manchester.
That is true. They do keep themselves alive, and their teleport was burned from Costa there, so that's going to damage their split pushing ability, especially ahead of Baron coming up. So that's going to be really detrimental. He's not going to be able to just shove in bot lane with the ability to rotate, but he will probably still shove in bot lane, but just not need to rotate because he's so fed. He's almost an entire item up on Poppy here, looking to just cash in that Flame Horizon and gets to the big triple-digit lead. I'm really
Probably gets it off this wave.
Yep, for sure.
But you were saying earlier about how it's like they've got a job, but they're not spending the money. They're about to, I mean, yeah, a little bit more just about to go into the pocket of Manchester. Actually, Hasri able to slide out of that one alive, but using a lot of cooldowns there. But he got the Ignite out, it was so worth it.
The camera pans back because we think surely that Caitlyn ult from the Silas doesn't land, but it did, and they survived.
Well, a bit more action in mid lane now. The Zonya's able to actually get the root onto Costa, and Costa maybe a little too greedy, maybe not recognizing, but the stopwatch was available. And so he will fall, and actually, finally, some gold going into the pocket of Loughborough. Now, you spoke earlier, it's like they have a job, right? But they're not spending the money. Right now, all the kills they're getting, they're so behind, and they're only getting kills really in situations that they're going something like, you know, they're still behind. They go 2 for 3 or a fight. So now, it's like they're getting gold, but they're sinking it all into their student loans. Haha, am I right, people?
Yeah, we love debt.
Woo, yeah.
Like, the best... That is a really, actually disgustingly good analogy.
True.
And we're in a position where 8,000, 9,000 gold now sets these teams aside, but it's also where these differences are. 3,500 gold difference in the top lane, 2,000 gold difference in the jungle. Silas is actually behind on gold because, again, Nyx is putting a shift in, but it doesn't convert to anything because there's another 2,500 gold lead on the AD carry, and that is really, really unfortunate. You've got to feel sorry for Nyx there.
Yeah, it's really rough, but at the end of the day, he's not the carry of this team, no matter how hard they try to make him be. Another dragon picked up, of course, the Cloud Dragon that we mentioned earlier. That was just going straight into the pocket of this Riven jungle, which really isn't dazzling me right now. It's going okay, you know,
It's a comfort pick.
Yeah.
We talked about how important comfort is. We said we wanted Loughborough to get more comfort, but it actually ended up being Manchester getting themselves more comfort and just making their win even cleaner and just straight up more obvious. They're definitely outclassing their opponents here on picks and champions that they're really happy to play and really practiced on. Like, for example, the dive we saw last game when Nikara had no idea that Costa was going in. Riven is always going in, so Costa can be that Chad, and the Riven is another Chad behind him.
I mean, yeah, the more Chads the merrier, right? Let's just have a better time of it. I mean, Mosmashi definitely not one of those down the bottom lane here. You know, he's a whole item behind the... Well, the Hydra's not completely finished yet, but for all intents and purposes, it is. And now we just have to wait. Costa is going to just chunk out Mosmashi. He's just going to put the pressure in the bottom lane. And the second he does, the Baron will get started up. I mean, you have the Fiddlesticks, so if the Baron is attempted, even looked at by Loughborough, you just immediately win a fight. And likewise, if they try to contest it, Fiddlesticks can just ult out of the pit, you know? So, this is just huge damage to be putting out onto a tank.
And even then, their AD carry resets and they still have lane priority in top, bot and mid is even. They're not even crashing, or not even losing a wave there.
Pure's just solo clearing vision. There is no one even remotely close to him, but they have enough vision and enough confidence that he can just go for it.
He just doesn't care. He's sitting with a 300 gold bounty on his head, and he doesn't even care about losing it because he's not going to. The other team is not posing any pressure. We see Camille here half health the tower and have enough minions to just keep going at it. Gets it down to about a quarter of his HP there, just on one bit of time with the tower, and that is all.
And Costa can just take about as much damage as he really wants because he's got the lifesteal coming out from that from the vamp set. So he's building up towards that thing. So towards the Hydra. So it doesn't matter how much damage he takes. He can just hit the tower, trade as badly as he wants with Mosmashi. I mean, the trades are always good, but because he has less health in total than Mosmashi, they may, in the long run, look worse, but then he just heals up, it's fine. So, seeing that the second he gets that Hydra finish as well, then he's going to be getting the AoE lifesteal, and then it's just over.
Yeah, and like, we see their crashing waves, and when you are behind, you get more waves. You can farm more up, it's more comfortable, and there's less risk. But the gold just increases on behalf of Manchester, even when they're not getting any actual organic bonuses, just off the back of this Kleptomancy.
Alright, well, hang about. This is maybe a bit too much. Costa used the ultimate very aggressively, but actually just completely devastates Mosmashi's health. I thought maybe that was the chance. You know, he went aggressively trying to take out the turret, really well used steadfast presence to deny any sort of escape. But then, you know, Costa says, I don't need to escape, I'm just going to go for the kill. Slides on and picks that one up, and of course the second this is done, now the Baron is started, currently sitting on 7,000 health. And that isn't really a tank, so it's kind of questionable. I think that Manchester wanted Loughborough to overreact to that Baron, but because they
were just trying to bait a fight there.
But they're all recalling, they're all backing off. This is actually a window that Loughborough could have to do the Baron. However, they don't have enough vision, you know, they can't be fully certain that's what's going on, so they have to play it safe.
Yep, and that just cranks the gold lead up to almost
5,000 gold lead for Costa.
In isolation. He is half of his team's lead. That Kleptomancy has paid dividends, and he's going to sit on a Hydra and just almost buy a Sterox Gauge outright. He's sitting on a Jaram's Fist and a pickaxe.
Oh, but where's the pink? Not even a team player, come on.
No, does not want the pink. He's decided that, yep, this is
Vision's not for
competitive,
Chads.
But, yep, that is their rule at the end of the day. I'm a Chad, so I'm not buying that one.
No vision allowed here. Interesting to see, we are seeing lethality. Obviously this was picked up quite a while ago from Gecko, but it's just interesting to note. He's not going for a crit, not going for something like a Black Cleaver, which I think is kind of interesting because you are versus not tanky, but not exactly squishy champions either. So we'll have to see how that one works out for him in the long haul. It's basically only really Civi that you can touch, everyone else having health or armor in some regard. Just now, again, Costa returns to his home of the bottom lane and just immediately goes for the kill. Mosmashi going to knock him up, but not knock him away, so it will not disable the Hextech Ultimatum. A nice cancel, but Costa comes out of it on full health.
He is enormous this game, and he is really taking over, which is what we predicted before even the game started. Our man to watch is making us watch him, for sure. I really like the way that he's playing this too. You often see people get a lead and start grouping up, especially on champions like Camille, who can split push really well, but actually are surprisingly divisive teamfighting champions too. But just, nope, I'm sitting in a side lane, they can send 2, they can send 3, I will kill all of them. Because not only will he draw people and get himself Baron, he'll probably kill them in the process.
Sure, and without trying to count too many eggs before they've hatched, clearly the tanks have not worked, yet again. Please, good God, put Mosmashi on something he can carry on, or there is one other tank they haven't tried, and we were saying the solution to dealing with health, to dealing with Camille, is to build health. Well, who's a tank that has health as his entire thing that also happens to be incredibly OP on this patch, flexible to the jungle, and your jungler mains him? Maybe it's Mundo.
Potentially. I mean, it sounds like an idea. Apparently it doesn't check out, I don't think. But We're going to see this lead even further.
It's Manchester that play Mundo.
Here. They are on the Baron, and Costa is there, unrelenting onto the towers of Loughborough. Could this Baron be going low? No, it is the side of Manchester that are going low again, because they just don't have the tankiness there. They keep trying to get Loughborough to overcommit, but we're seeing more self-control from Loughborough, forcing them on.
Amazing to see. But there is the issue that as long as this goes on, Manchester are still winning the split.
Yep.
Now they don't have the tank to tank the Baron, but as long as they're not capitalised on, but we might see some capitalisation here. Again, the knockouts coming out, Chain CC coming through. They finally get the kill onto Camille, and they do it at a time after the Baron reset. I was just about to say, once they get so low trying to do these Barons, but then there's never any capitalisation coming out from Loughborough, that's what they need.
That was really well played. They saw the reset and they forced. That was perfect. Actually, that is more on Costa than it is on Loughborough. I really feel he should just back off there. He knows his team's resetting. The whole point of his pressure is that his team gets Baron while he's there. But they can't get Baron because they're not there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Maybe he types in all chat GG report my team. I'm up here 1v3, they're doing nothing. But, it's on both parties that are split across the map to react to it accordingly.
Hey, and Loughborough get themselves their first tower off the back of it. Woo! That is one tower back, narrowing the gold lead to a small 10,000 as they look to try and get themselves some vision control around the Baron. Get themselves the Crab, which is really nice. Obviously, you cannot sweep that one out, and they will move through. Caitlyn is here, sat on 2.5 items, compared to Sivir, who's on 3.5. We just see more and more disparities, and they will start the Baron up again. This time, Costa's going to be there, and if Loughborough think that they're just baiting again and don't commit, they will lose it.
Lycara is taking so much damage. He uses the shield to get to the place, but he doesn't actually have any way to heal up once he's taken damage. But a big engage from Pure is it's the Flash, it's the Zhonya's. He's in the middle of the scene, but he's not doing too much. Lycara is trying to take out the Caitlyn, and he will be successful. The Pop Blossom does not do enough, and the Nico will go down. Now, huge damage coming out onto the Poppy as well. That is not a tank. An immediate teleport comes out from Costa. He's going down to the bottom lane. They are looking to secure 2 inhibs and possibly even the game.
They do not want that Baron. They think they can end here, and I'm pretty sure they are correct. They have the wave down here, but they are going to rotate through. Sivir's going to arrive 20 seconds on the first person to respawn here. Maybe Morgana can stall to a certain amount. I really don't think they can. Even if the respawns come through, they're healthy. Their cooldowns are pretty low. They're going to chunk these towers out really fast. They're going to look to end the game immediately.
And Lycara may be looking for a little bit of stat padding, but the rest of the team decides to go for the towers. We've got 2 seconds on the Caitlyn about to spawn. Costa going kind of low, but the tower has dropped, and now the Nexus is the focus. It's going to be brought down. It will be dropped. And the game is won by Manchester. They lead the series 2-0, and they will take it to match point, looking to potentially take it in a 3-0 sweep.
And that was very, very clean.
A lot cleaner.
11 kills, but in the current state of the game, that's actually quite little. They're playing a high-risk, fighty comp, and they just pull it off really, really nicely. We've seen that comfort is key, and they took it, and they made it work again here.
I mean, Costa, back on that Camille, like I said, comfort being the name of the game. He is so clean on that champion, and he's so ready for that kind of, that split push, just bring out that pressure. Again, what do we have to see left for a change?
The big thing for me is the top lane. We talked about it a lot. This is a Chad-only zone, and he's entered the Chad zone, but he's not won, and he's losing out. It's the second match where he's finished with well over 100 CS down. Almost 7,000 gold here at the end of this game. In fact, it finishes as
6.5.
6.5, a good estimate there. That was horrible to watch. Even in a relatively favourable matchup in lane, Poppy's still going to get bullied. Just put yourself in a position where you can bully the bully. Gank Costa. If he's in a poor spot, their team confidence is hit really hard. Game 3 is all about changing the momentum. You need to swap something up big time. Come out with a cheese pick. Tahm Kentra wasn't enough in game 1.
I think is hit the nail right on the head. The only tank I would find acceptable would be Mundo into the Camille.
Yep.
Outside of that, chat it up. Stop banning Aurelia.
Yep.
And pick it. Surely there has to be something he can play. Something like Fiora into the Aurelia if it's taken away from them.
Yep.
Just play something more aggressive because right now they are just giving the game away. Look, Nikes is doing okay, but he's clearly not comfortable with the leads that he's getting, you know? So maybe put Nikes into something a little bit more supportive, I don't know, or at least just don't funnel as much into him. Meanwhile, Gecko, he's been doing okay, but these picks, they're too fringe. The execution was good on Kench. Maybe if they had an aggressive top laner, they could go back to it. But right now, with something like the Graves, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm really unsure. The thing is, if they're going to play an aggressive jungler like that again, they pick the Mundo and they gank Costa. It feels really simple, and it's worrying that they're missing out on that. Nikes, almost every single game, has had mid-priority. In the Silas, he did struggle in the early levels as the Ahri, but from 6 onwards, he was able to shove the wave back in, got himself fed. Nikes were the only one ahead of their equivalent in that game, pretty sure, and he ended the game there ahead on gold, regardless of the position they were in. Yeah, he did it. He was actually a whole 2,000 gold over Crown there, which is huge. If you have someone playing like that, get him to go top, kill Costa, or just play through mid. I just feel like the jungler was sitting there and watching the game go by. They were a real passenger in that situation.
Sure. So, right now, 2-0 to Manchester. They're looking to end the series. We're going to jump to a quick break, 5 minutes. Hopefully, once we come back from that, we'll see some of these adaptations coming out from Loughborough. If you want to find out, of course, you'll have to stick around. So see you then.
Thank you very much.
Already 3 pages and 2 years of my life. Look what you made me do. I smile, no thanks to you. You can't take your pretty face and march outside. I opened the door for you. It wasn't love between us. It wasn't time we caught us. You need to let this go. Just forget who the hell I want.
There is this distance, and we both feel it through the dark in our hearts. Gotta keep from breaking. I am not afraid of the storms of day to day. I know that they will pass us by. The life may fall apart. We are stronger through the scars we know. 'Cause we both have gotta try. 'Cause if we keep holding on, we can break through these walls. Keeping these open doors through the storm, we'll make it out. And if we keep holding on, we can find love that's lost. Things are not too far gone, but not that far. Keep holding on. We are left hopeless. Catch a breath, make amends, and get lost in the drifting moments. The tide of love's rising, but we're swimming for our lives and we stay the same through all the waves. Cannot keep our focus. I am not afraid of the storms of day to day. I know that they will pass us by. Life may fall apart, we are stronger through the scars we know. just waiting, seeing your face in the dead of night by my side. But I'm still hesitating, 'cause there is this distance, and we both feel it through the dark in our hearts. Gotta keep from breaking.
Welcome back to the NSE finals here at Nottingham Belong, and it's been a fun ride so far, but we're wanting to see adaptation.
Oh god, yes, please.
Really,
it's okay.
Really
it's been
badly.
great. It's a really interesting series so far. We've already seen some slight adaptation in the fact that people stopped greeting, which was, great.
Yep, self-control.
Yep, so some more self-control. So now we want to see self-control in the draft phase, or maybe the opposite, instead of being more, more, I don't know, controlled and being like, okay, we'll chill, we'll just pick a tank, we'll go Poppy, and go, no, you're insta-locking Aurelia, you're locking Fiora, Riven, anything you can play that goes all in.
Yeah, without sounding excessively deep, it's not self-control, I think. I think maybe we've missed the message. It's self-understanding. It's knowing this is my limits and playing to them. Because the only way that Loughborough beat them here is playing to their limits.
Yes.
I'm not even sure that Manchester are playing to their own limits. You've got to force them to perform. You've got to force mechanical errors. Because that's what was happening in the first game. We saw glimpses, people making bad decisions, people getting caught out. But we just really didn't see it that much. All the deaths were either traded or just macro misplays. But here, you need to force the micro misplays.
Yeah. That's what we were seeing. In Game 1, we saw individual sort of maybe positioning misplays or missing things here and there, little micro things. But in both games, what we saw at the end of the day is that Manchester, and definitely more so in Game 2, were coming up with those big macro moves, very incredibly, especially, let's be honest, for the level of play that we're at, This is a university series. It's, it's not terrible, but we're not an ERL, we're definitely not, LEC. But that sort of macro, just the presence to go, okay, we'll just sit here and chill at the Baron and have someone split. Honestly, there are UKLC teams that are struggling with that.
Yes,
it wasn't perfect, they were kept trying to start the Baron and getting chunked out, and realistically, if they were slightly further, slightly less ahead, or maybe the other team the Loughborough were a little bit more confident, more aware, they could have maybe tried to go all in on that, but I'm very pleasantly surprised with the level of macro play we've been seeing from Manchester.
Yeah, for sure. I'm impressed. And I really enjoy University Esports so much because of the level of the play, and people really underestimate it. And as soon as we start seeing that in bigger leagues, we see people coming up. We've seen the likes of Kerberos, there's several others in the current UKLC who are university students and have come through university teams. And this is a showcase of that talent, but I want Loughborough to showcase some talent. It's been Manchester just getting their names out there, and it's Loughborough's opportunity here.
Sure, look, if we're being painfully honest, Loughborough, it just hasn't worked for the last two games.
No,
they've tried this new strategy. I thought Game 1, maybe this can work. It didn't. It's not going to work Game 3. That's just the brutal honesty of the situation. They need to go back to their roots. They need to pull out these more aggressive plays. We've said the word Chad 50 times in the stream, but we keep seeing these incel top laners. We need Chads.
Absolutely. And Moshmashi has a great platform here. So does the rest of the Loughborough team here at NSC. This is a Bucks league. This is a national league. There are people watching. You guys here at home, you want to see people perform the best they've ever performed. And now is the time for them to step up. And are we going to see that?
Well, we've already seen the Aurelia ban come out from Moshmashi. And so, obviously, Aurelia played by both sides, but it screams insecure to me.
Yeah,
you know, it's a lack of confidence
for
that
sure.
you think we cannot play the Aurelia better than they can, or if they get the Aurelia, we're scared. If they pick Aurelia, you pick Fiora. It's okay. You know, it's not a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
There are also things like they pick the Aurelia. You can maybe just pick something like Yasuo or something. That's a skill matchup, but we're not seeing it. I really hope they have banned the Camille. Honestly, that scares me more than it's okay.
Sure.
So the thing is, Camille definitely should have been. It's definitely been very strong. Costa is amazing on that champion, but if they're banning it, that probably just means they want to play another tank. You know, Camille is something that you can match with another aggressive pick.
Yeah, and it's not even the best aggressive pick. It's not that strong right now. You don't see it in any major leagues. We don't even see it jungle anymore after they nerfed the ability to stun the AoE stun. And at least we see an aggressive pick of some form for Gecko this time.
Alright, so yeah, we said that how important the Xin Zhao would be. Xin Zhao and Jarvan were the overlapping champions for both these junglers. They're both early game, they're both aggressive. So this is a good start. I'm happy with what I'm seeing so far. Riven, I mean, obviously will be picked, but Nikera, I thought, didn't do too well on the Riven. Like you said, it was comfort, but I thought, well, what is this Riven doing that another champion isn't? You know, things like, what's Riven doing here that, like, I don't know, Hecarim can't do, you know, that Jarvan can't do? Just any sort of AD bruisery champion. You know, even things like a Kayn. What's Riven do that Kayn can't do in this situation? And all those champions will just do it better. Yeah. But she is locked in again.
And you pick Jhin away from them, but they don't want the Jhin. It's not at the top of their list. It's the Riven. So you didn't need to throw away a first pick on that. I don't feel there's bigger, stronger champions. Urgot also kind of strong. It's definitely not a Chad pick, but it's still strong. It did pick up a nerf this patch, but it's strong enough to take. It's safe. It would match most of Costa's champion pool.
There it is.
We get the
Alright.
Finally, I'm happy. I'm ready for that. And this is why we see those bans. He's obviously not comfortable playing them into Aurelia or Camille. I'm not sure why. I can't really justify that myself. But if he knows, okay, I don't want those two, he has a mindset where it's like, okay, I've dictated my picks and bans, I've dictated my champion, I'm not rolling over for my team anymore, and I'm not rolling over the enemy anymore. Maybe he could make Costa roll over this game.
Okay, it's very early on to pick it. I'm sure there's going to be some slightly rough matchups. Obviously, you know, now it makes sense. The Aurelia, Camille, they're quite mobile, so it's kind of hard to land the things,
for sure.
all the givens onto them, you know, the Undertow, that's the one. We do see Nico taken away from Nyx. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about that, because Nyx seem to have a similar performance on Nico to the Ahri, but just slightly worse. But
and I feel like
conceptually the same.
I don't feel like he can do that. I feel like that Nyx is going to do that on any champion he picks, providing it's a mage. But he also plays, as you said, AD edgelords in the mid lane, and that would be spicy to see. They would have to supply some serious AP firepower in the bot lane, but to be honest, I think that a pretty decent way to round out this comp is Braum and Yasuo. Yep.
All right, Yasuo. It's kind of sketchy, but if it's something that Nyx is comfortable on, if he wants to really mix it up, something that he feels he can carry the game better on, then, you know, all the power to him. Braum is going to synergize really well with that, with the Olaf, with the Xin Zhao, with the Sivir. Braum is just an amazing pick here, and your support is already gone. Braum does great into Fiddlesticks because he can block those. I think you have to pick that one up for Kasri, and then it's just what do you want in the mid lane.
And Kasri played that really well in the first game as well. He was probably their best player in game one, making some really nice plays to just basically damage limitation, and he could do even better than that. He could start playmaking instead of just limiting damage. The big thing for me is this Sylas ban was also really instrumental. Even when Nyx gets ahead of the Sylas is just annoying. It's good against champions that are ahead of him. He does... And we see a turret.
Okay, it's not quite Braum, but it is similar. The only issue I have is that you are really inting your lane away right now. Once you've hit 6, you're fine. But the early stages, that's going to be rough. The other thing that we should also probably touch on, Hecarim, locked in. Amazing champion on this patch. We talked about it a little bit earlier because of the TP Ignite for Costa. However, we've taken a second to look up the old OPGG of Costa. The man does not play it on his Smurf, and on his main he's played 8 games with a 25% win rate in solo queue. So it's a little bit of an interesting one. But the champion, still very, very strong in the top lane. So Maybe he's practiced it in scrims.
Hold the phone though. This is really clever. The Z pick. We talked about AD edgelords.
Oh.
The best bit about this AD edgelord though is the fact that Crown really likes the Kassadin pick, which is often what he takes as the last pick. But you cannot pick Kassadin into Z unless you're literally inting.
True.
You may as well take Ghost Cleanse if you pick that champion into Z there. It is really clever, and they forced them into Diana, which we talked about briefly, because of its split push power.
Well, Diana, though, can be incredibly good into Z, because what you can do is you can take Aftershock on Diana. Your lane is always going to be rough on Diana no matter what, but if your versus a melee, you're okay. You can rush a Seekers, which is going to be really useful versus the Z. She doesn't really need... She kind of has, rough times with mana, but bearing in mind that a lot of Diana's kind of skip mana items, and her passive will be enough.
And he can steal the second blue buff from the Riven, who doesn't have any mana needs.
But yeah, she has no use for it. It's 10% CDR, but, whatever. A bit of XP is obviously important. But if you take Aftershock, Zed goes in, you just pop your E, you pop your shield. He will not get through your shield with all those Aftershock resistances. So this is a pick I really like for Crown in the lane, but we're going to have to see how it's going to translate out of that, because Crown has been playing very aggressive early on. Things like that size, having a great time in the earliest levels of the game. And that is not something that you can do on Diana.
Yeah, I think what's really important, though, is actually, you say in the lane, right, it could be good for him. He's shown a lot of poise in the later stages of the game. He gets caught once or twice in the laning stage when he really shouldn't, but then as it becomes late game, he plays his role really well on the team. And if they do opt for a 4-1 or a 1-3-1 with this team, it's going to be tricky. They don't have many forms of disengage. Other than counter-engaging with Hecarim ult, it's going to be really tricky to 4-1. But if Diana does get himself onto a side lane and he plays as tapered as he has already this series, it could get better and better, because we talked about how Camille was... My only objection to Camille being the best tower taker in the game was Diana, and now we've got the Diana, so...
It's close enough, you can't have one, you can have the other, but I'm just so happy to see something more aggressive coming out, from Loughborough.
The whole draft is...
just better. Yeah. It's just objectively better.
They've stopped rolling over, exactly what we said, and they've thrown the whole kitchen sink. They have gone for an all-AD team comp, but it's really aggressive. The Tarek's going to be really spicy, because you can get those ults and just run them down under tower, and they've taken Ghost onto the Olaf as well.
I mean, yeah, Olaf Tarek with a Sivir ult is just literally the definition of no counterplay. He cannot be CC'd, he cannot be damaged. He cannot be stopped, he's got too much movement speed. You're going to have an amazing time. Even if you don't have the Olaf, you can just do it onto the Xin Zhao as well, and then once the ultimate, the Tarek ult runs out on Xin Zhao, he can just pop his own ultimate, and suddenly, again, he's having an amazing time. I just love this comp so much more. The one issue, of course, is how weak that bot lane is.
Yep.
But your versus Jinx Fiddlesticks, it's not too much in the ways of kill pressure.
Jinx shoved them in last game. No, it was Fiddlesticks Sivir that shoved them in last game. The big quintessential pick, which probably understated, that's been the core of this series, has been the Sivir. And now seeing the Sivir here on the side of Loughborough could be really, really big, because actually they could just almost get themselves default lane priority in the bot lane. They can just leave, they can get themselves early dragons, Zed's going to have lane prior mid, Olaf's going to lane prior top, and they can just start running in. Jin's a really good invader too, and they're just going to start taking Drake, start taking Rift Heralds, and that's what I want to see today.
I mean, we look at the jungle matchup, and it's Xin Zhao versus Riven. This is just so free for the Xin Zhao early on, so there is the choice, like you said, for Sivir Tarek to just push up that lane. You are versus a Riven. She's not great early. I would be really interested to see if Nykera still goes for Conqueror, or if he plays it a bit safer and goes for Aftershock this time around. Because Aftershock on Riven is incredibly strong, because basically any champion that can proc Aftershock and has a shield is going to have a really good time just in general, And so I think you'd really want to go Aftershock, just because, the Xin Zhao dashes in on you, you can stun him and then dash away, and you will not take the damage from there on out. So, obviously, what's he going to go for? And there it is. It's the Aftershock for the Riven. However, Electrocute for the Diana. So, a lot more aggressive, and in my opinion, actually just a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. That's just... I feel that's very, very aggressive. We're talking about Chad, so he has definitely ticked that criteria. But you have to draw a line. there's definitely lines to be drawn, and he's gone over Chad and just become an Inter, potentially, if he does get caught. Very, very immobile champion. You can only go forward. It's like having a Leona mid, but not as tanky.
True. And without any buffs as well. So I have to see. But already, again, action. Maybe potentially seeing a level 1. Now, Olaf level 1, insane. If the Taric wants to start the Sun, he's going to have a really good time. And in fact, he has. We'll have to see, doesn't Nykera spot this one out? He doesn't know anything yet.
That was really nice, the undertow hits.
Here comes the undertow, the flash to connect for stun, the ignite, it's a first blood, it goes to Taric, it doesn't matter. Already we're seeing a better time of it out of the gates from Loughborough.
Yeah, 2 ignites were dropped and a flash. Nykera decides to drop their own, but they get top lane priority.
We didn't see any all chat worths dropped.
True. But I feel it was. It definitely was worth. They have so much vision, and Jin's going to look for the cheese here as they stay. And Nykera is not a Chad. He's going to his blue. Hecarim's going to stay and try and work out whether the top laner's there. Maybe even get a cheese onto the Olaf as he pouts back from the red buff.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, but this is a really interesting position because you'd have it the other way around usually. The Olaf should be the one that the blue top laner sits in that tri-push. And then you have...
Olaf definitely wins that level 1.
Olaf wins that. So the thing is, if he tries to take that fight, you're just going to have Xin Zhao run over to you. This is Hecarim. He does not have flash.
Even without Xin Zhao, Hecarim loses that.
Yeah, true, actually. And he's not skilling E level 1 as well. There's no way he gets out of it. Actually, this is a really great matchup for Olaf because the undertow is going to slow
him. Yeah,
so it's going to lower his damage as well.
Yeah. Like that, they've prepared that. But they picked the Hecarim into the Olaf. So they were ready for that to go top. But do you know what I was thinking when I saw the Hecarim locked in? Is actually, the Jhin is a good pick, but Hecarim would have been hilariously good.
True.
Because not only were they first picked and taken away, which makes sense because they wanted them to pick Hecarim, so they left it open and took the Olaf, but playing Hecarim Olaf with Sivir and Taric would just be disgusting.
It would be kind of rough, but I feel like the Xin Zhao has a little bit extra advantage, but we're seeing some damage coming out of the top lane, but Moshmashi not able to pick up that undertow, but he might just look to run up for this one. Doesn't have flash, so flash, and then the E not going to be available, but someone who does have flash is the Xin Zhao. He E's onto the creep and now looks to maybe find something onto the Riven. Flash forced out from Nyx, and now a knock-up trying to connect, but it's a level 2 Xin Zhao. The XP advantage went over to Nykera, and I'm pretty certain that is solely because he took all of the chickens instead of just leaving one. I think everything else, they're equal. Maybe he stole a little bit of XP from a lane. I'm not too sure, but already you can see the Moshmashi wants to try something aggressive up top.
Yeah, and Nykera found themselves in a sale there because he got 2 flashes for the price of none. It didn't even need to trouble himself to burn a flash knock-up. He got 2 just by getting a really nice well-timed flank.
Well, it looks like Nykera went to maybe try and steal away the red buff, but as he went to do that, a ward that was in the pit, I think it died, and he maybe got a little bit spooked, so he runs away from that one. So not able to get the advantage in that regard. But also, something I really like from Khazri, actually, he got that first blood. I think, well, what do you buy if you're a support? You get first blood. He's just gone for fairy charms, and I think that's fine, because Taric is a champion that spams mana so much. A lot of people like to go tier on him. I don't think it's great, but some people do. And so if you're going to be spamming a lot, and you think, well, I've got to deal with the poke coming out on heals, it's a great idea. Another great idea, ganking the flashless Hecarim. We get the dash in, we get the knock-up, and we get a kill. Moshmashi picking up that first
They're
blood.
ganking Costa. They're doing exactly what we wanted them to do, which is beautiful to see. And let's see whether they can convert that into meaningful advantages. Because they have been working really hard, but they've not been spending any of their money. And let's see whether they can get themselves a nice big investment here in the form of a Moshmashi CS lead for the first time in 3 games.
Well, we'll have to see. Now, bot lane, of course, being pushed up there. Unfortunately, Cannon Creep missed, so that is 150 gold not going to the side of Loughborough there. It's something you have to keep in mind. It's a lot of money. But they're okay with being pushed under their tower here. You know, jungler's obviously showing top, so like, yeah, we'll chill. They just need to hit level 6. Honestly, this comp, it's kind of disgusting. The more I think about it, basically everything except for the Zed, and then the Zed is really just sort of comfort and something he's more confidently able to transfer his leads on. I think is fine. But just, like, again, look at the mana that Khazri has, and then compare that to everyone else in the lane. These fairy charms were a great idea.
Yep. I think the best way to top off this comp would have been just an AP assassin in the lane, like LeBlanc.
Oh yeah.
And just that's the only worry for me is their lack of lack of AP, right? It's relatively easy to itemize against.
Bit of a trade breakout on the Ignite actually drops. He's going to try and knock him into the tower and actually able to just secure that kill. Costa with the Ignite. I think it started off pretty bad for Moshmashi because he wasn't able to pick up his axe. He threw it too far, it doesn't hit a wall or anything, and then once that happens, you're going to lose that trade. He keeps taking it, and so he just gets chunked for free by Costa. He almost manages to turn it around once he has the undertow available, but after that, not a lot. And now we see another attempt in the middle lane. Flash is available for Crown, so he will use it and get out of that. But level 6 very close for Nikes, and he can jump to that Shadow. Nikeera turns up yet again, but not going to be able to find too much.
I'm sad he chose not to dive back to that Shadow there. I honestly think he could have got the solo kill and he could have turned it around onto the Riven there.
I think he needed the 6 for it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he didn't have his flash, but he did have Ignite up, so
maybe he could have gone for it, okay. Maybe not as Chad as we would previously like, but we see with the priority that was just gained in the middle lane, even though losing the flash, Crown still wanting to come down. They have that bot cryo, they're going to maybe try and look for this Drake, or at the very least, get a bit of vision, maybe secure the crab. Not sure if that was taken before or after.
And we did compare the Diana to a Leona. Obviously, not as reliable CC, but can dive really well. So if you see them coming down, you have to be deep under your tower. And you have to be scared of it. It's very, very scary appearing in your lane. Can dash onto you at least 3 times.
Now, real quick, I think this is actually kind of rough for Costa. He's pushing out this lane, which means he's giving the Olaf a lot. I mean, as I say this, Moshmashi just closed out the wave. But I think that that's a really good situation to be. Yeah, you try and freeze that, and if he runs up, he has no flash, no ignite. He does have the ultimate, but you have Ghost and Ragnarok. I think that Moshmashi is right now in a situation where if he wants to, he can just run down the Hecarim.
Yeah, I agree. He could have made him step up so many times there, but he's just trying to shove it up again. I'm really unsure about that decision there. There's no objective on the map that he needs to push up for. He's not roaming to get vision. He's not even going to sweep that pink out, I don't think.
Doesn't have his jungler around either. Maybe he's a bit scared of the location of Nikeera, so he wants to just hard shove it out, but not really too sure what's going on with that one. Of course, now both junglers on the top side of the map, so we may finally see the fabled 2v2. And I love that we're only like 8 minutes into this game, and it's compared against the speed of the others, it feels so much faster, even though it is slowing down a little bit now.
Yeah, they're definitely losing their tempo here. But the biggest thing is how well Nikeera is playing this game compared to the other games. He's getting some really nice wards off. You see, you look to the minimap, there is constant pings, and now he's snuck into the top lane. Oh, he just got caught on the edge of a minion there, and the ping picks him up, and they decided to not take the fight there. It was a really nice counter gank from him as well, but doesn't quite come off. Unlucky.
Yeah, looks like he's spotted a second time there, I think, but both junglers still choosing to hang around. In fact, the Blast Cone is available, and this is a very rough position for Costa to be in, but looks like he's not going to go for it. And now, of course, since I will show on that ward, meanwhile in the bottom lane, level 6 is hit. But back to the top lane, Costa using his ultimate, 0 mana, but the same can be said of Moshmashi. Riven hanging around Zinzao in the corner.
They're over-forcing there, they're clutching at straws. If Costa's not ahead, like I said, they really struggle. Even if the rest of the team gets ahead, Costa is the bigger head. Is a physical embodiment of them.
Okay, I'm going to say something really painful, but Gecko's on the wrong side of the map. Right? He's looking to maybe make something happen top, but we said that so long that he needs to be playing around top side, but the one time that he needed to be bot is as his bot lane hits that level 6 power spike. If you imagine he's there as they hit 6, then he can wait for like the second they hit it on the Hunt proc and then the Cosmic Radiance as well. You just get 2 kills. There's no counterplay to that.
Even if they're not beating the enemy bot lane to 6, Fiddlestick 6 and Jinx 6
they're
are
not
awful.
Effective.
They're just not abilities if you're charging at them.
It's like a Shen, you know. Any other champion, that the second they hit 6, they're all in a Shen, because his ultimate is not useful in that situation.
Yep, because they've just got a straight up advantage, even if it's a minor ultimate.
Well, we now see he is moving slowly down to the bottom side of the map, but he does not have a big window to make this work. Looks like they're going to try and clear out the vision. He is nearby. He's hanging around just over the corner, but isn't going to look to go in there.
Force.
And the teleport, it's almost up for Costa. It is so close. It's 22 seconds. It is not a long window that this can be abused in, but they're going to try. Knights is coming on down as well.
Spell shield used already, though.
Alright, let's see, maybe that's potential bait, but the ward will spot Matt, and here comes the on the hunt. They're going to see the flash forward and the stun.
Oh, really nice!
Flash connect from the Zinzao. Will get the knock up, and he will pick up that first kill, maybe, as she will go down. And now we bring out the Cosmic Radiance. The first dive is attempted by Kazui, and a really aggressive use of the ultimate there from the Fiddlesticks. So Zed will go on in. Immediate flash stun to connect from Lycara. A great bait, and he will not be able to pick up the kill onto Pure Kitchen, even though the Zhonya's did not save him from the death mark there, just not dying to the ignite. And a very, very well-read situation from Lycara as now a potential all-in the top lane. Unstoppable coming out from Moshmashi, and now the ignite drop from Costa. But this is what happens when Moshmashi can pick up the axes as he gets a solo kill.
This is spicy. We're finally getting ourselves a series. We see a gold lead here from Loughborough. They do go 1-for-1 in the bot lane, which is not what they wanted there. But what they do get is the really nice solo kill in the top lane, making it a net gain over the map. But also, they just got more value out of that bot lane dive.
Yeah, even though the dive was very well read, Pure Kitchen, I thought he was a little bit inting that he kind of regretted his decision, but really good of him to then drag Nyx back under the tower. A very well-timed Zhonya's just not managing to get the end of the death mark off, but still fine. But a very good read from Lycara, but I'm okay with this just because Loughborough tried it. Admittedly, you don't want to be saying in the match point, well, you know, at least they're trying new things, but it's still good because it went well and it proves that they are open to the idea, you know? It's proof of concept, so we'll have to see if they try it anymore. Now Moshmashi, he's pretty low on mana at this point. You have to wonder if they actually maybe hand him a blue buff. But we do see Crown moving on up with the Riven. Potential 3v3, but Zed is stuck under his tower. Now Kara has the level advantage, and he goes in and look at this, just massive amounts of damage coming out onto the Zinzao. But once all the cooldowns are used, the Wind Slash not available, and so he'll just back off with just a little bit of dominance asserted.
And that was just disgusting. You see how the Riven, if you don't immediately chunk them, the Zinzao wins that fight, especially with the built-in lifesteal in this kit. He's just going to keep going at you. And he wanted that. He was looking to go back in. But because his top laner was
potential all in, though. The W shield not going to be enough for Crown, but he's brought very low and just flashed forward to secure the kill. Nyx not playing that as aggressively as I think he could have, just letting himself get chunked out a little bit. And because of that, the Rift Herald is now going to be started. Flash available for Nyx was used by Crown. And now Moshmashi is looking maybe a bit too aggressively towards this, but here comes the Fiddlesticks. Oh, he drops on in, and it gets the fear as the spell shield is wasted. The Jinx ult comes out, and it will take out Tsunami. And this is the thing about this bot lane, it's so volatile, it's who goes first. Which is why I was pained to see that after the reset, Gecko started running up mid lane, maybe towards his wolves. Like, no, you just run straight bot if your cooldown's up, because it is so important that you pull the trigger first.
That was devastating there. We talked about the Fiddlesticks, you need to be engaging onto him, and you need to respect the bushes at all times.
Hang about though, because we've got a teleport coming from Moshmashi. This is not bad. He's unstoppable, he can't be feared. Pure Kitchen is low on mana. Maybe he will try for the 1v2 here, or is he just going to try to clear out the wave? No, he's going in. He throws out the Q onto Violin. Violin's trying to hit the tower, but it's just an insane amount of damage now that the Black Cleaver is finished. And I was thinking before this game started, well, you have to be careful pushing if you're Tsunami and co, because Costa will teleport down. But this time it's Moshmashi. He recognizes the 1v2, he picks up the kill, and now Crown looks to maybe trade it back into the mid lane, but just not enough available with his rotations. However, Nycara moving down. But just as I say that, we see a dive in the bottom lane. And like I said, this is the Olaf Sivir. Even if he gets feared, Sivir will be able to throw out that Boomerang Blade and pick up that kill. Riven not opting to dive in the bottom lane. And now that first Blood Tower will surely go with the next wave. I don't think Costa can defend this.
Yeah, and there is so much sustain as well. They're not even chunked after taking at least 4 or 5 tower shots between them. And Moshmashi wants more. He's just stepping up and taking really aggressive trades, forcing him off the minions. He wants every single one of those to crash under the tower.
I'm pretty certain they could have just tried to dive Costa there. He does have the, the unstoppable onslaught, but Cosmic Radiance available. Even if you force him to ult away, you can maybe try to chunk out the tower a little bit there. So maybe slightly too safe from Loughborough, but at the end of the day, they are definitely not trying to throw the first time they have a lead. Costa might have other things in mind though, as he walks up very aggressively in the 1v3, but the stun will not connect from Taric. And so he's not going to drop quite just yet. Now Moshmashi far too low on mana to continue.
Crown is really bashing this mid lane, and that's what's really worrying me, is that even though they're getting these net wins, they're actually even on gold because the Jinx has a gold lead again, and there's an even bigger gold lead in the mid lane, and that's putting them in a position where your highlight player from the past 2 games is having a rough game, and when everybody else starts stepping up, he's stepped down. And that scares me if I am Loughborough. What do you do there? You need to make your 4 members pick your Zed up and give him a few kills.
Yeah, it's definitely a rough situation to be in, especially when he's on something we thought he'd be a bit more comfortable on. But we're also seeing the lack of Aftershock, definitely not a pain for Crown, doing very well in this lane. But we see the Unstoppable Onslaught come out, and he's going to be able to get the knock back onto Tarek. The fear comes down, but it won't be fast enough as the Cosmic Radiance goes through. Meanwhile, Director Camera wants to show us a 1v1 in mid lane. I can only assume someone's going to die. Crown's got no mana, so it will probably be him. Nobody actually drops in the bottom lane, except for the tower, and so right now, it's looking pretty even. But Mosmashi, no one knows he's in the bush. He has the Ghost, he has the Ragnarok.
And the Fiddlesticks thing didn't bounce. It can bounce to people out of vision, so he managed to sneak through there.
Zinzao was moving down,
but
but
a little bit of a
frame rate. Okay, so Flash engage and immediately feared. There is no Tarek ult available, and he will immediately drop to Violin. Now Nikaya trying to get away from this one. He has the Flash, and all these undertows are just too short, but now he maybe tries to turn it around. A good dodge coming out from the Death Mark does mean that they will secure the kill, and now they can look to possibly capitalize with a Dragon, with a tower, and again try to expand the lead, but they almost have.
And they got a lot of kills. They're still behind on the gold.
I just assumed they would be ahead.
No, because they lost the tower during that.
Yes.
It was a first blood tower as well, so there's a lot of gold going over. But the biggest thing there, and it sounds futile with so many things happening, was that one kill that Gecko was able to donate to his mid laner. I was literally 30 seconds beforehand saying they need to get Zed snowballing. They need to have the Nikes from the last 2 games when everyone else is stepping up. And he can step up now. He can get himself an item. He can look to start one-shotting Jinx. They have little to no peel.
Well, he's trying to just have some damage mid, but that's the power of the old Seekers.
Oh, but Fiddlesticks behind our mid lane!
Oh, this is just unfortunate. He will surely drop. Tarek maybe trying to try and save him out, and now we have the Zins out. Tarek, he just dashes in. The stun, it's not needed. The damage is enough. The heal wasted as Violin was at full health, and I think Gecko can try to continue this, even though the Hecarim is here, because look at Olaf on the flank. Cosmic Radiance not quite available. Still got a way to go on that one, and because of that, I believe Loughborough are going to back off and disengage.
That was nice from Gecko at first. I was really happy with the collapse there, but he should have just kept fighting, even if he dies there. Olaf comes in and gets a triple kill. He should have baited them into fighting in a narrow corridor where Olaf would have had a surefire flank, because in the narrow corridor you're not dodging those axes. They're actually really fat. Their hitbox is gross.
It's not true, the hitbox. Like, it's just wrong. Also, Costa had did not have his ultimate available. You think that could be terrifying. It wasn't actually just up, and now we see a fight break out, and here it is, the Olaf, the Tarek. They get the knock-up. Costa just able to get out of that one alive, and actually that disengage is going to be enough. That is the one ability, the one person that you cannot engage onto if you are Loughborough, and this is worrying. They've just lost some major ults because they didn't have the Civet on the hunt. They can give it another go, but Gecko did waste his Crescent Strike during that as well. He was already invulnerable, and he used his ult maybe for a bit of damage. Just wasn't quite enough. And something important to note is that in these last few fights, they haven't really had the Civet, but now we might see a bit of action breaking up in the top lane here. But Nikera, he's on half health. He's going to try and dash away. The stun will be enough, but the slow is going to connect. They have the red buff, but the Chilling Smite now slowing. He will just be able to jump out before any audacious charges are allowed to be cast by Gecko.
That was really close. And I really thought that Gecko was just going to slay him out there. He was lucky that the blue smite came up, especially off the back of an attempted invade. Had he got onto a minion and used that, he'd have been really big trouble.
Yeah, it could have been pretty rough, but Pure Kitchen, look at the Crow Storm, perfect timing. Okay, we got a bit of lag. Let's just take that time to go and check what is the cooldown on that ultimate there from the Fiddlesticks. It is 4 seconds, the Fiddlesticks ult available, you see.
And I can't state enough how much you can't start a neutral objective against Fiddlesticks when he has the ultimate, especially if you're on the other side of the wall.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the big thing. Last game, they started a neutral objective when Fiddle was on the other side of the wall, when they were on the other sides of the map and they were taking Dragon, and we're about to watch them do the same thing
again,
on the other side of the map, but this time they're on Rift Herald. So they're just going to fly in.
It's rough. Costa doesn't have his ultimate available for if he tries to teleport in. He's probably not needed in this fight if the Fiddlesticks goes. It looks like they might be trying to pull it out of the pit, but Gecko maybe has other ideas.
And he has flash up.
Yeah, the thing is, like, he has the flash. The Scuttle Crab is in favour of Manchester, which isn't too much in the fact that it will speed up Pure Kitchen. He's probably not going to get to it in time, but it means that the disengage isn't there, because you think if you have that Scuttle Crab on your side, you can maybe flash, if you have to, and just sort of dash back to it. You get the move speed from it, and then you're fine. Then you're out of that fight. But without that option, how do they disengage? Gecko, he has no flash. He used it earlier, as we saw. He has no gap closers or no escapes. Moshmashi realistically has no escapes. He's got Ghost. Ragnarok does not give you movement speed if you're running away. It forces you to be, dare I say it, a Chad. You've got that on the hunt, fine, that's a good idea. But outside of that, you're not in a great situation. I'm really worried about this play. We also see that Diana is sort of currently flanking. You see everyone is in the... We've sort of got to describe this one to you. Everyone's in the pit, well, for the most part, gathered around the pit, and then Diana is just entering the river from the top lane. Meanwhile, Tarek just coming up from behind for blue buff.
The big thing is that Tarek doesn't have that ultimate.
Huge.
You can let Fiddle jump on you every single day of the week if you charge the Tarek ult at the same time that Fiddle starts. I think they may even...
I think Tarek is slightly longer. We'll see. What's Tarek? 2.5 seconds.
Charge. I'm pretty sure is it 1.5?
1.5?
Yeah, 1.5.
So,
right,
advantage Fiddlesticks, but
advantage Fiddlesticks. But if you think Fiddlesticks is gone and should be ulting now, you just click that, and even if it procs halfway through Fiddle running on you, he shouldn't have killed you yet. He's not AP. He's not just going to blow you up instantly the minute that
it will take him longer than a second. But we will get into this one. Pure Kitchen running around is going to look for it.
You don't want a flank. You want to be on the other side of that wall and using that ultimate.
All right, well, he's not quite in position there. He actually is forced to flash away as Moshmashi tried to run him down. He didn't look for the jump over the wall. Hopefully we can get the video back on stream at some point. But pretty certain, I'm not going to lie, pretty sure production is just AFK.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting one. But the Herald was secured.
The Herald was secured for the side of Loughborough here. And even more so...
There it is.
The Fiddle flank.
But he still has the ult, and he's looking for it. He's going to use it on in. The Tarek ult not used. They fear out the Zen, and immediately he is blown up by Crown. And now the stun not connecting onto Crown, so it's a double kill as well. Flash is available, but no Lunar Rush. They will land the slow onto his out, and in comes the Hecker and flank, but he does not connect the fear. Throws it just too far behind.
Costa! I talked about this. If Costa's behind, he struggles to perform. And we just saw it there. He just had to click on an enemy champion.
He was literally behind. He threw it behind them. It was kind of questionable. But Crown once more. He just flashes in, blows up the Civic. They will be able to secure Xin Zhao as well on the hunt. Not being used. I thought I heard something similar, but I don't know what that was. As now Lycara is looking to run down Moshmashi. He's forced to use the flash, and the Ragnarok used the second it comes up, which will get him out of there alive. He is no longer slowed, but that is 2 towers, 4 kills taken in a pretty hefty throw there from Loughborough.
That is enormous. They're 5k goal.
They weren't even ahead and they threw
behind. And after so many patterns of play where we were like, Nikes is performing. Nikes is performing. Nikes can step up here. His advocate, the person on the other side of the map, his enemy mid laner, has stepped up for the first big time here and shown that Nikes isn't a star anymore.
We want to talk Chad builds. It was Deathcap first item. He got once he realised that the Seekers was enough. Insane again that he didn't go for Aftershock on that Diana. Crown, very confident, takes the Electrocute just for burst, goes for the all-in. And it's crazy to me that Nikes doesn't have a Hex Drinker yet. He's got Mercs, sure. Hex Drinker is one of the most efficient items you can buy, and he's still building more lethality.
Like, he's just got back from base and he almost definitely had enough. He bought that serrated Dirk. That is not worth it.
It's honestly, there's so much armor. Like, obviously you need lethality at some point, right? And it's really going to help you out versus Violin. Everyone else has armor. Just spec into the Hex. It's almost too late for the Hex Drinker by this point. It's such a... If you are playing any AD versus AP matchup, does not matter who you are, you build Hex Drinker. It's insane. As we now see Moshmashi maybe look at something. Again, it's so important that he can chain those undertows onto the Hex.
Because he needs to keep him slowed. If he gets a moment where he's not, he's just going to zoom off like we just saw there. And again, I want to point to Crown. He's now building towards what must be a Morellonomicon so that he can limit this Tarek healing and can keep... And that's also going to limit the Olaf's built-in healing and the Jin's built-in healing. That is a disgustingly efficient item. And also prevents the Jinx from having to force himself down that route early, so they can continue with that build, because the Jinx really needs 3 core items to really be online.
Sure.
So it's a really handy move from him, and also it can just allow him to keep playing like a Chad, because no one's going to out-sustain him in the 1v1 anymore.
I mean, it's very interesting as well as we see the Jinx opting for the PD. Like you said, she doesn't want to get the something like Executioners too early, but if you have a Hurricane, that's going to be huge when it comes to engaging fights. But we see Costa, he's fishing around a little bit, Pure hanging around Overwall just out of vision. The thing is, Loughborough down 5k, I still think they can win fights if they get the perfect engage. The situation is they're maybe being a bit too passive, but here it is. The flash knock-up coming out from Gecko, but immediately onto the backside go the Fiddle, go for Diana. They try to get some kills, and they will be able to take out Crown before the Taric ult comes on through. Now Gecko will fall because he is 1v4. It's a double kill for Diana and make it 5. It's a clean ace.
What a slaughter. They don't want the dragon anymore.
Like I said, you have to force. Your comp is forcing the second but that doesn't go right. You know, you have to put things like the Bastion onto the Zinzao or the Olaf, try and get something, because when the fight goes long, it's just immediately won by Manchester.
A force comp is so good against Fiddlesticks. You should never get an ult off. You should just ward flanks and run them down. Your champions are built to run them down. But instead, they get themselves into sticky situations where Fiddle just ults for free.
The Baron is going to fall. Meanwhile, whilst that was going on, Crown was pushing up that mid lane. He only managed to get the tower, didn't get the inhibitor, but he's okay with that one. But
yeah, best tower taker in the game.
I was about to, he doesn't even have a Nash's or anything, or a Lichbane, but I was about to say, well, I just had said that even 5k down, there was a chance for Loughborough. Now it's 10k. And Manchester have shown that they do not throw leads like this coming into this series. So it now looks very worrying if you are from Loughborough. Finally, the Hex Drink has been picked up by Knight, but I think it's just a little bit too little, too late. So we're gonna have to see what happens here. Look, Crown is just lurking.
Even though this is Loughborough's best performance so far this series.
We just have to watch Knights get one hit real quick. Crown, Q, auto, oh, he actually managed to get out of that one alive. Just kidding. Not quite the one bang happening there. Hex Drinker saving his life. Actually, he probably would have lived, but, you know, good idea there. I really thought he was just going to absolutely one-shot him, just auto attack or something like that, but not quite able to find that one.
I think what I was about to say is that even though this is Loughborough's best performance, at least their best early game so far this series, for the first time in the 3 games.
Well, hang about, because here's the force. They get the stun onto the Hecarim, and he is run down by Moshmashi. Now, Zed still alive in the fight, able to dodge out from the Riven. This fight's suddenly going well for Loughborough. Moshmashi staying alive in the backline. He will just fall, but is able to take out the Jinx. Now the Fiddlesticks is able to trade back a kill, and the very late Taric ult comes out, but I think it's going to be enough now. Fiddlesticks forced to flash in, but he will drop as he goes right into the Taric stun, and now it's on Crown to try and clean up this fight. He's chasing him down. He's legendary. He's picked up the Sivir. Is he going to look for more? It doesn't look like he's able to.
It's Crown versus the world.
It's still a one fight for Loughborough, but Crown is making it difficult.
Crown did everything in that fight. He went, well, I'm killing you, now I'm killing you, and now I'm killing you. Every single person was just cleaned up. There was nothing they could do. They were just throwing themselves in. But every single moment they had, they were like, oh, I've just got to kill. Crown turned up.
It's so close. Even though they're behind, maybe I was wrong, maybe they can come back from this, because they finally got the engage they needed. The one issue was the Taric ult. A little bit too late. I feel like it was almost thrown out, maybe because they were scared of Crown, but I think realistically it was just kind of like, oh, I haven't ulted yet, I should just ult now. And it worked, it blocked a little bit of damage, but just think, if that had been on Moshmashi, he genuinely would have just 1v3'd and stayed alive. It was really good the way they split. Knights finally didn't blow up instantly in a fight. He did a good job of dodging out like Kara.
Really nicely. They've skirmish oriented. But yeah, they needed that on the Olaf. He was regenning so much health, but it would be even better if he was invincible. Let's face it. And what I was about to say for the 3rd time, maybe I'm going to get to say it this time, was that.
No, hang about. Gecko's actually getting caught out a little bit. He's going to be able to block up some damage with his ultimate, but Zhonya's not going to be enough. He's just in the middle of a 1v3. The ultimate, very overkill from Violin, but that could be devastating for Loughborough. They've already lost one inhibitor in the bottom lane. Costa pushing up the bot lane. Mid lane inhibitor already dropped. top lane sure to follow. I don't think Manchester can end, but suddenly the game just got a lot harder.
And like what I was going to say, maybe I get to say it this time, was the fact that Loughborough playing really well in the early game. No longer.
Crowd just dashes on in straight to the base, forcing out the flash, but here comes Pure Kitchen. We meanwhile see Riven on the backside, just try and take out the ADC, and will be successful. Tarek so unable to get out the ultimate. Will he stay alive, or will he jump to the Hecarim? Oh! And so Hecarim engages far too deep, and he's not able to pick anything off, but it's fine, he doesn't die. The Tarek ult runs out, and here come the kills. Double kill for Diana, double kill for Hecarim, 3-0 sweep for Manchester, and they will be the NSE Spring Finals. It's another cherry on top for Crown. He is aiming to carry this game as hard as humanly possible. The Nexus will drop. Manchester take the series.
And Manchester take the title. And they deny Loughborough from getting the 2 wins today here at Belong Nottingham. And we saw Loughborough, they played so well in that early game. We were so excited. They entered the Chad zone. But what happened was that for the first time ever in the whole series, every single member of Loughborough was unanimously down on gold. None of them got themselves an advantage. They never really got a foothold into that game, even though it felt like they did. There was multiple points where they were up objectives, they had map control, but they were behind on gold. And often that doesn't matter, but it felt like it did because Crown made every penny count.
They wanted to be the Chads, you know. They went out, they got the gym membership, you know. They got in there, they immediately went over to the 50 kg, sort of tried to bench press it, and then just sort of dropped it on their neck a little bit. You know, it was a good effort, but I'm happy to see that they tried it, you know, and they went back to their roots. It was looking great. It was an amazing start, a really good comp. They even showed promise when they were 10,000 gold behind. What I find amazing is that fight that they won, or at the end, the second to last fight, it was started by a Tarek stun. It was amazing to see the sort of decision from the whole team. We're just going in on this. On just a Tarek stun, it is not that long duration. But the issue that we had with it was Tarek himself being the one that's a little bit split off there, you know. I think if they didn't have it in their heads that we are going in if this stun hits, I think it was the stun hit, and Mosh Mash is like, right, that's me. He goes to see Ragnaroks, and everyone's like, oh, we've got to follow him, you know.
Yeah.
If that had been their plan from the beginning, Tarek can drop the ult on him because he already had the dazzle on him. Maybe they could have taken that, but at least they gave it a go. They went back to their roots. They performed well, but Manchester, having perfected that style, obviously went and took the win there.
Just another occasion of cohesion being an issue, which is the difference I feel between where a team can prove themselves at the very, very highest level. This is like the best that Loughborough, this orientation of the Loughborough team has done in a while, and they have seemed cohesive, but it just seemed to fall apart. It got worse from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. Game 1 felt like it was down to mechanical misplays and personal decision making, and then game 2 was ropey at best. And then game 3 were like, yes, they're on the same page, they're ready to go. But as soon as you see them group up as 5, you realise that they were a group of 5 individuals rather than a team.
I think that's the perfect way to put it. I mean, second place not bad. Obviously, that's a lot of Bucks points coming up as well, especially when you've already picked up that one win, of course, in the Rocket League. But amazingly played from Manchester. Like we said at the very start of the series here, Manchester, a titan in university esports, one of the OG universities, really starting to build the scene for us, and obviously showing that right here in this game. 3-0. That's about as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, they've got to be happy with that one. And they've all performed. I can't say Costa carried everything because he really did not in that last game. But Crown stepped up after a rough game too. He played well in the first game, rough in the second game, and bounced back and showed that a strong mental is really, really important.
I think it's huge. You know, like you said, Crown having that really dominating performance in the first game, just playing very aggressive. But Costa was the hero. He was carrying that first game with a bit of help of Nikera. Insanely strong in the second game when Crown was looking kind of rough, you know. But we come into the third game. It's rough for Costa. He's solo killed. It's not looking great. Crown says, don't worry. I'll step up. I can take this one, lads.
Yep.
First item, Death Cap, as you do, which actually is kind of a thing on Diana.
Yeah, very good on Diana.
But just amazing to see. We haven't really spoken about the bottom lane, and that's because they did their job, which was to do nothing, right?
Yep.
They had really good sort of lane control early on. They were really, in the earlier games, in the first 2, they were playing around the sort of jungle presence, trying to get plates, trying to just basically have priority at all the right times. Again, something that's really hard to do, but they did it fine. And then they knew that they were not the carries in these games, and that's okay. They didn't try to be. Just lock in Sivir. Yeah, we're just wave clear. We'll take towers when the time comes. Fiddlesticks doing amazing jobs of doing how Fiddlesticks needs to do. And I think that's a really important trait, is to be able to sit there and go like, we are not the carries. Our job is not glamorous. We would do what we need to do. So a very impressive showing from all 5 members of the Manchester squad.
Yeah, I'm really happy with their performance, especially Pure Kitchen as well. Kind of a bit of an underrated player throughout all of these. I mean, the Fiddlesticks execution in Game 2 and 3 was more off the back of Loughborough with a lack of preparation and a lack of awareness.
Sure, but that is Fiddlesticks' thing.
Yeah, and Fiddlesticks needs to capitalise. If you're not there, you're not ulting, you're not getting the perfect flanks, you're not getting vision control, because he's a very vision-oriented jungler. You have to be making sure that you're sweeping everything.
Oh, yeah.
And his vision score has been consistently the highest. Every single game. Narrowly slips it through with 2 more vision score than
I mean, double the vision score of his jungler.
Exactly. He's
insane.
Just sweeping everything out, sitting there and waiting. And his team were on the same page. They were more cohesive. They knew what was happening because their Fiddlesticks was there. He was communicating to his team. We take this. I ult here, and you could see that in their gameplay.
I mean, like you said, it's about the team, right? The thing about Fiddlesticks, capitalising on mistakes. It's easy to say, oh, Loughborough were just getting Fiddlesticks ulted every time they tried something. Like, why are they playing like this? But that is because the team of Manchester were bringing Kitchen around. Kitchen himself, obviously, I'm sure, working with whoever does the macro calls for their team, is saying, okay, put the Fiddlesticks here. We've swept all these areas. We've controlled it. You've made it so that the only option for Loughborough is a bad one, is one where they get Fiddlesticks ulted, which is why it looked like he was so on the ball, because it took preparation from a team. Again, something that you do not see traditionally in these university leagues, but we see it come up here, Manchester doing well, and it's a great sign for the scene as well.
Yeah, for sure. We like to see experimental new things that work, that they've practiced. You can tell that they've scrimmed with the Diana pick, that they've scrimmed with the Fiddlesticks pick. They're ready for that. And they've put the work in to play those champions for certain games. The Fiddlesticks comes off the back of beating my team, which is sad for me, but I'm so happy to see that
it wasn't in vain.
That different teams are promoting meta changes within the university scene. Any scene should develop their own meta. It's super natural and healthy. And we have an occasion here where they've developed a meta where Fiddlestick is valued, where Sivir is valued. We saw it swap between both teams here and have different levels of success, along with the Sylas and the Jinzhao, all being very influential in this series and throughout all of NSE and the neighbouring Null League as well.
We talk about picks, we saw the same bans almost every single game, and it's something that I'm kind of disappointed in Loughborough with, that if you're drawing a Mordekaiser ban every single game, I think that's something you can work with.
You need to use that with draft leverage.
If you have these kind of picks that you are getting banned, Gragas was constantly banned. I'm not even sure why, but he was. Neither did, they did not want to play versus Gragas. If you're drawing these sort of fringe bans, you need to be able to use that, and it's something that Loughborough just weren't able to do. But again, second place. They still put on a decent showing. They were just outclassed by Manchester.
Yeah, it felt like an outclassing. That is definitely the best word for this series. And I understand the Gragas ban, especially from the side of Manchester. They played hard engaged team comps. That would have been horrible to play against the Cask. But exactly, if you're drawing Gragas and Mordekaiser bans, take the OPs. There's lots of really strong champions here on this patch, and you've got to make that work.
Alright, well, I think that's going to wrap it up from us here at the League of Legends section of the NSE British University Esports Championships. Congratulations to, of course, our winners, Manchester, taking the 3-0.
Commiserations for Loughborough. And following this game, we have the Counter-Strike, hopefully soon, without technical delay, like we have had in our other games.
Small amount
but we're on esports time. There's always going to be delays. So
it's hopefully we'll have that Counter-Strike running pretty soon. Of course, we have to get everything set up on our end, of course. But hope you had a great time. Again, like we said, congratulations, commiserations to Manchester. And Loughborough, definitely a well-deserved win. And frankly, it's just a very fun series to watch. But that's it from us. We hope you stick around for the Counter-Strike, but goodbye.